underestimate the power of PlayStation.
Beyond. What is up, everyone? Welcome to episode 100 of
my
Podcast
God.
Beyond.
We made it.
It happened.
We are in the triple digits. We have made it to episode 100.
Oh my
So
God.
geez.
Looks like we made it.
So now let me do introductions real fast because we've got a packed room here, so I want everybody to know who's in the show.
Roll the stable, son.
Yeah, I'm Chris Roper. Greg Miller,
What's
you're
up?
up in this.
Yeah, I just got my voice back.
Yeah, you have been a little sick.
Yeah, I just got my voice back for this. Comic-Con almost killed me, but I'm here.
There you go. We'll hear some more about Comic-Con in a minute. Ryan Clements, as always.
How's it going, man?
Good. Sam Bishop, what's happening?
Yiggity-o.
And now we have two returning guests from Podcast Beyond past. First off, most recently to leave the show, Mr. Jeff Haynes.
What is going on?
He's
How
back.
you doing?
Ow!
Jeff
I
Haynes is
am back.
And back in the day, PlayStation team editor-in-chief and now editorial manager Jeremy Dunham is with us.
No, I'm Jeff too.
It wasn't bad.
I'm Jeff as well.
So,
Oh Christ!
so we've got quite the show in store for you.
It is going to be quite the show, I can tell already.
Yeah.
Madness.
We
But
have.
should we?
Yeah. What's this, Ryan? What are you saying?
I was just going to ask when we were going to.
we can do it right now.
Unleash
We're
the
not-
beast.
You want to do it right now?
Open our
We brought
boots.
some vintage Cook's California champagne.
Yeah.
We're going to open it up.
We got a
Ryan,
little
you
champagne
got
we're going to crack right here.
All right, hold on.
Here we go. Listen to this.
Indeed.
This is the celebration.
Grenade.
What do you mean again? What are you talking about?
Oh, yes!
Oh, there we go.
Come
Yes.
here, cups.
Oh, no.
That was
Dust will
awesome.
fall in there
Oh,
and
no.
it'll kill you. You get the asbestos.
Beautiful.
The show has officially begun now.
Wasn't he an enemy in Double Dragon?
Did you take out that light, or is that out before?
No, it was fine. Would it not have been awesome had that cork directly hit the glass bulb and it shattered all over
It
your
would be
face?
like-
It would have
New
been
It would have been like the natural.
Yeah, but then we would have to leave because it would be poisonous and we'd all be
Wait,
killed.
there's an old cup somewhere around.
Old
Isn't that
cup.
the garbage cup?
I would think it's the one with the
Okay.
giant
Yeah, use
paper
it for
towel.
it.
There was another one in there too.
Yeah.
Is this yours?
That's the one I just poured that you gave me.
Oh, okay.
All right,
This
so now
one is dirty or old?
No, that's fine.
for today's show, let me give you the rundown of what's going to happen here. So we've got a very special guest that we've recorded an interview with. We'll be talking to him very shortly. We've got reader call-in mails, a different reader mail segment,
Reader call-in mail.
which is pretty cool. We recorded that earlier this morning. And we are kind of going to do the normal show, but kind of remix it a little bit.
Remix all.
But now,
Remix?
as is always important, everybody wants to know what's going on in PlayStation land, so we will, as proper, start the show off with the Roper Report.
Time for some news. It's back.
For better or for worse, there's not really a whole lot to talk about this week. For Little Big Planet costume lovers, Cole from Infamous is making its way. Also some Marvel stuff.
Finally.
Yeah, The Darkness 2 is in the works,
I'll play the game.
Oh, snap.
although it's not being developed by Starbreeze, but they did basically say that it is being worked on, but that they're not doing it. Fat Princess is coming out
Yes.
on Thursday,
Yes.
which is today when the show goes up.
Booyah!
Bring
It is
it
about
out.
time.
This is exciting news to me.
Do it.
I don't know about anybody else in the
Something
room.
about Gran Turismo.
Damn straight.
Now, if you come from Philadelphia and then you're going to move upscale, where are you going to go? Where are you
Bel
going to
Air.
go with Uncle Phil?
Bel
in Bel
Air.
Air. Now, DJ Jazzy Jeff is going to be in DJ Hero.
Oh,
Oh, snap, son.
What was his name on the show? Was
Jazz.
it just
Just
Jazz?
Jazz.
Yeah, it was just Jazz.
Just
There you
Jazz.
go. So now DJ Jazzy Jeff
That
is on
guy
the
was
show.
an actual DJ? How did I
Oh,
not
yeah.
know
Yes.
that?
Are you,
Yeah.
what?
It's DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. Man,
yeah.
their first
Summertime.
album.
No word on the Fresh Prince.
A Nightmare on My Street.
Yes.
Remember that
That
one?
was a good one.
Parents just don't understand.
There you go.
That's the classic.
Wow.
You
And
saw my
then-
blinker, bitch.
I guess I just missed the Will Smith
It's
train.
the real song. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And then the last piece of news that I'll mention today. I think I
Peter?
almost said it. Yeah, I almost
The
said that.
last PETA.
Last piece of news that I mentioned today is that The Force Unleashed is getting a new release in the Ultimate Sith Edition. Now, Greg, you were firsthand to see the
I
trailer at
broke
Comic
the
Con.
story, except that I was there wasting my time because the press release broke 10 minutes before they made the announcement. So Mark Nix knew everything I was trying to tell him.
But it is
Not
so there is
from
DLC
a
coming out for the
Jedi.
thing.
Huh?
That there is DLC coming out
Correct.
for the
You get
current edition of
the-
Force Unleashed.
Correct me if I'm wrong. The Tatooine pack is the thing that you could get even if you had the old Star Wars.
That sounds correct.
But packed in as a Hoth edition that you can only play with the Force Unleashed
Right.
extended Sith.
And the difference behind this is that it is a what if the Secret Apprentice
Killed Vader and
killed
took
Vader.
over. It looked pretty sweet.
Yeah,
It's
so now
totally
you've
going to
got
make
a
me
new
play it.
costume, and now you fight
You get
Luke
trophies
and you,
now, too.
Yeah.
So and to be clear, this is a spoiler alert for those of you who have not
here we
played it.
go.
At the end of Force Unleashed, when you beat the game, you have a choice basically to be good or evil.
Yeah.
And so you
really?
can't. Yeah. Well, kind of.
I beat it. I don't remember it being a choice of
So
like.
I beat both.
you
You
been
can
to one
you can
evil or
basically
less
beat the
evil?
Emperor or you
Yeah.
can beat Vader, and then depending on who you beat, and how you beat them, I should say, changes your ending. So you can have.
Oh, I do vaguely remember that now.
So if you lose, if you take the evil route, you're burned pretty much like Vader, and you replace him, and they put you in this weird suit and whatnot.
Yeah, I've seen the suit was in the trailer that they put on.
And if you're the good guy, you are the one who gets the rebels the plans for the Death Star that Mon Mothma
they
in the
dust
movie.
off. They dust off your dad's table.
Died to bring us this information.
They dust off the table.
Oh,
and
That's a
shoot
trap.
their
I'm
symbol.
watching the movie.
It's a trap.
But so I think what they're doing is they're assuming that the bad ending when you're all
That's why you're the
up
ultimate
and,
Sith.
Yeah.
So
So there you
Good.
go.
I think it's cool. I'm glad they're doing it. I'm really looking forward to it.
My favorite part of I've done everything you could in Force Unleashed. My favorite thing about that game was how there was a bug in the middle of it that lost all my information and tracking stuff.
Lovely.
When I was about 3/4 way through the game, which forced me to play it again in order to get all of my lightsabers back.
That does sound
Did
like
you
the
have to
great
bend
part of the
Wookiees to
game.
do it?
So there's a well-known bug at the time. I don't know if they fixed it a little bit by basically telling you a manual workaround. I don't know if they actually ever fixed it. Maybe we should find out. We should find out.
all right.
There's a manual workaround. Don't play this
Sounds
game.
like a lot of work.
So if you manually saved over your game rather than letting the autosave work, there was a high chance that it would erase all of your data tracking stuff.
That is amazing.
So, and as you know, by finding the collectibles in the game, that's how you unlocked stuff. So it didn't
Was this a
work out
360
so well
only
for
bug
me.
or PS3 as well?
It affected both. It happened to me on 360, but I was when it happened, I'm like, what the hell happened? And I was watching the forums, the official forums on Force Unleashed,
Yeah.
both games.
People not too
Yeah.
happy about that.
Yeah, not so good. Now, we are currently listening, you are listening to, we are recording Podcast Beyond episode 100.
Yes.
Now, this is sure to be a long show. A lot of stuff to do here. But when you're not listening to Podcast Beyond,
Beyond.
maybe you like to play video games. And maybe
I just figured out where this is going.
maybe maybe you randomly walk into your nearest video game retailer, your Best Buy, your GameStop, what have you, and maybe you just scan the shelves. But maybe before you leave your house, you want to make sure you're not wasting your time. Now, Greg, how could I possibly know what games are going to be in stores this week so I don't waste my time driving to the store?
You can check out the official IGN list of upcoming PlayStation software on all 3 platforms by the IGN editors.
That's pretty amazing. I thought nobody ever knew. I thought it was just random every week.
Yes, you walk in the store, hey, do you have?
Guess what we got?
You still don't have Uncharted 2.
Somehow I always
See you
forget
later.
every
Yeah.
week how we learn these things, though.
PS2
That's
and
pretty
PSP
amazing.
get nothing.
Oh.
And then I wasn't here last week because I was at Comic-Con, but Ryan tried to give me a complicated explanation. King of Fighters 12 is out kind of this
Officially
week.
was released this week, but was in stores on GameStop.
Unofficially last week.
Unofficially last week.
Also-
on Friday.
Also, The Watchmen: The End of Night is out
End
this
is
week.
The end is
nice.
Which
part
the
two?
ultimate experience.
Here's
or
the
whatever.
weird thing about that. So the chapter 1 of the game, whatever, it's just the end is not part 1 or whatever, was a downloadable game. $15 if I remember correctly. $20.
Too much.
And
Ooh.
so
Oh, snaps.
that's fine.
Sam
But-
doesn't like it.
So now the second game is a retail
I'm intrigued.
release with the first one on there still, right? So if you go to buy it for the Xbox 360, you're just buying both the games. And if you've already bought the first one, it's a little bit of a waste of money. On the PS3, on the other hand, your only option is the or the extended experience, whatever it's called.
Ultimate Experience.
Ultimate Experience, which gives you the movie as well. And so it's $50, right? You
Yeah.
get the movie, which is great, and you get the both chapters of the game. The problem is if you already have chapter 1 and you were like, I love Watchmen, I'm going to pre-order the disc or whatever, that means in order to get chapter 2 by itself, when you already own the content, you have to pay $50 for it.
So does that
which is
mean
kind
that
of crazy.
if you do the triple dip in December, which is supposed to be the Ultimate Director's Edition with the Black Freighter included, you're getting that plus the Black Freighter plus the game again?
Right.
That's
They're
insane.
including the game in the
Well,
Ultimate
I don't know if
Edition
that's
at the
happening, but-
later.
but
No,
if you-
chapter,
if you buy
chapter,
that-
two,
here-
chapter 2 is coming separately on PSN. You can download it separately in the future.
Okay,
From
well,
what I
right,
hear,
for
the-
right now, though.
Yeah,
for right
from what I
now,
hear,
the
the
only way you
Ultimate
can get
Collector's
it.
Edition
I think
has
it's-
it as well.
Today, this week.
Is it the director's cut?
Yeah.
The one that's in the
Yeah, it's the director's cut.
Okay, cool. Well,
Yeah.
at least you get that. Half an hour more movie.
Yeah.
To an
So,
already
Here's
extremely long
the
movie.
problem with getting. I was considering getting the Ultimate Edition when I got Watchmen, but you lose. We're big movie buffs in my house, and you lose a lot of the cool featurettes that are on the standard Blu-ray.
Really?
So yeah, there's about 3 or 4 of them that you don't get if you get the Ultimate Experience, which I think is
But
ironic.
the one
That's
in
beautiful.
December?
It's the Ultimate Experience minus 4 things.
Because I thought they were adding all that in on the second disc.
No, there are a few things missing from the Ultimate Experience to make room for the game, basically.
Oh, for the love of...
So
For a downloadable game too, no less.
yeah. So you will be missing something if you just want to see the movie. You don't care about featurettes. I guess that's pretty cool. But for me, I wanted to see
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
featurette.
Especially a movie like that where it's an adaptation. There's a bunch of cool stuff that they could do.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have absolutely
Man.
no desire in any way to play that game at all.
Good.
Did you like the movie? Did you
I
like
played
the movie?
chapter 1. I was like, no thanks.
Yeah.
Did you like the movie?
It was okay. The graphic novel is so hugely important to me that I don't even really want to think about anything else.
It's a little known fact that Ryan actually bases his personal style after that of Rorschach.
Yes.
Yeah, I am
Very true.
actually. Yeah, I mean, usually when I'm not podcasting, I have a cloth wrapped around me with ink blocks.
I just
I
say
don't-
that.
I
don't
I
see
just
the-
say that because your shirt has so many stripes on it. It looks like it's moving.
Yeah,
Ryan killed the first Portillo.
Where's the damn?
Goodness.
Where's the
That's
damn?
terrible.
Where's the damn squid?
Huh?
Where's that little girl?
No, she's not doing so great, dude.
That's disgusting.
It's a bad thing to bring up.
No.
Rorschach is the one that tried to save her, man. What are you
I
talking
know.
about? I'm not the dude like with the dogs and.
I know. I'm just saying you're not good at your
the
job.
dude with the dogs.
Aw, I was too late.
That's a formed him. That's a made Rorschach.
Yeah. All right, now before we get into the rest of the show, I think it's time to introduce our special interview for the week and kind of kick the show off kind of big here. So this morning we talked to one Mr. Evan Wells from Naughty Dog, co-founder / president.
I know him.
/ all things
I know
over
him.
at Naughty Dog. We've met him in person. Very nice guy.
Yes. Right.
So we talked to him about Uncharted 2, which is coming out on October 13th, and we're all very excited for it. So let's take a listen to that interview. Yeah, first off, thank you for calling in to episode 100 of Podcast Beyond.
Beyond.
You were at the very top of our list of people to have call in here, so I'm very glad that you were able to do so.
I wouldn't miss it.
Yeah. So for people that have been kind of on and off about following the Uncharted 2 kind of preview coverage up to now, why don't you fill us in on what you guys have revealed of the story so far?
Okay, well, Uncharted 2 is a continuation of Nathan Drake's journeys. He is following the trail of Marco Polo this time around, and he is that takes his travels through Southeast Asia. He starts off in Turkey, actually, and discovers a clue in a museum heist and ends up in Borneo, then Nepal, and Tibet, and up into the Himalayan mountains, where he's in search of the lost city of Shangri-La.
Now, so since there's a whole lot of globetrotting in this game, with the first game, there was some outdoor stuff on the island and then some, catacomby type stuff inside. The fact that you're going all over the globe, does that mean there's going to be a greater variety in the sort of environments that you're going to see and the kind of obstacles that you're going to have to deal with?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we definitely didn't want to get pigeonholed as a jungle game after, having so much jungle in the first one. So we wanted to see all kinds of different environments. So, you'll, like I said, you're going to be going to a museum. You're going to be going to a swamp in Borneo. You're going to be heading into an urban concrete environment in Nepal. Riding on a train, you'll head up into the mountains, the snowy mountains, and visit some lamaseries and and ice caves as well, which I've shown some footage from.
So you guys did the jungle so well in the first one. I'm wondering, was it difficult for you then that you had to create this massive amount of realistic environments then, or was it pretty easy for your team because you guys have had so much practice?
Oh, well, nothing's easy. It takes a lot of hard work. But no, it was neat for our artists to get a chance to explore a wider variety of environments, and also for our programmers to push the technology to come up with even cooler pixel shaders to render those materials.
Okay, cool. So it all fits on one Blu-ray disc then?
Just barely.
And single layer or dual layer?
We're sticking with single layer, and that's mainly not because we couldn't use more space, but it's sort of a production issue. Going to that second layer takes longer to burn the discs.
Right.
We're all
Gotcha.
about really fast iteration time, and that includes getting the game in the hands of our testers, and we don't want to sort of put any roadblocks in their way.
Gotcha.
Awesome.
Now, the E3 presentation you guys did was nothing short of astounding, and a large part of that was the building you're inside. It's being shot by the helicopter, then it kind of tumbles over at the end, and all that was absolutely amazing. And you see in the trailer there's a scene with a train. What other sort of massive, summer blockbuster type things can we expect to see in the game? Is this a common thing, or is this just, every now and then you kind of turn up the heat a little bit and then bring people back to the kind of classic Uncharted, wall scaling like we saw in the first game?
Yeah, well, we try to keep a nice roller coaster going, with some high intense action moments and then some slower paced, almost introspective moments for Drake when he might even be adventuring alone, which is less common in this game. So we do have those peak moments, sort of like the boss fight moments, and then we've got sort of your bread and butter gun combat. But we're always just trying to mix it up. We're trying to really take you along, just like you would see in a summer blockbuster movie. So you're going to have some romantic comedy bits. You're going to have some real interesting conflicts with a real colorful cast of characters. So we're really trying to vary it up.
It's interesting that you guys mentioned the gunplay and stuff. Are you sort of shifting the focus a little bit, or the ratio of gunplay to exploration a little bit more toward the middle than the first game? I'm just wondering if the variety environments that you guys have now, if that's going to mean new kind of puzzles or different ways of doing stuff than you did in the first game.
Yeah, I mean, we still are trying to stick with our main pillars of the gunplay, the traversal, and the hand-to-hand combat, with some puzzles peppered in there. And, I wouldn't say that the formula has changed too much from the first game in terms of that mixture, rather, the percentage of focus of the gameplay. But we were trying to make the gunplay a smoother experience from the standpoint that we didn't want to always to come across these giant arena-based gun combat moments. So we wanted to pepper the gunplay throughout the game. So you could be going down a corridor, you never really know when an enemy is going to pop out. In the last game, it was very much, okay, I'm in this arena, the enemies pour in, I clear them out, I do some traversal, go to the next arena. We really tried to make sure that the gunplay was spread out, and what that means is we've just created this giant game to really support that. We've had to just put so many more environments in the game, and there's really a great deal more content in this game than there was the first.
Awesome. Evan, I was actually just showing a friend Uncharted for the first time the other day, and I realized one of the things I loved most about it was the playful banter that all the characters have going on, and I guess that brings up the point of your spectacular voice cast you guys have, and how was it like working with them again, and is there going to be a lot of that and a lot of that character-driven element that we can see in the second one?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've just wrapped up our voice recording, actually, and
very nice.
It's been just a huge amount of audio. I mean, the localization effort is actually keeping people up all night here trying to get files ready to get out to localization. But yeah, definitely that playful banter, that comedic element is something that's important for the genre and for the Uncharted franchise. So, throughout the game, the story doesn't end when the cutscene ends. We want that to continue over into gameplay and make sure, and that's one of the reasons why Drake frequently has a companion that he's playing alongside with, because we want somebody for his personality to reflect off of, and we keep changing who that person is so that we can show different facets of Drake's personality. And it was really great working with this cast of actors. They're really dedicated to the game. They love the franchise, and they really do breathe a lot of life into the game that doesn't just come from Naughty Dog.
Yeah. Game's great, audio's great. What have you heard about the Comic-Con panel?
Well, Greg was awesome, right?
Oh, you are a cad.
You guys made it. I think one to remember.
Now, why were you too scared to come be on a panel with me?
I was busy holding down the fort up here at Naughty Dog.
A likely story.
Getting back to the Drake kind of interacting with other people a little bit, in terms of actual gameplay, how often are you with somebody else, and how does that kind of change how you would play the game as opposed to when you're by yourself?
Yeah, well, I mean, let's see. I haven't actually ever tried to break it down as a percentage, but I mean, you're probably with somebody certainly more than half the time. Might even be getting close to 2/3 to 3/4 of the time that you've got a companion alongside with you. So, like I said, the way it changed up the gameplay is it gives Drake somebody to play off of, and you get to solve puzzles together as well. So, they're not always just there to help out and facilitate the combat, but, they're also there to help Drake navigate the environment and solve puzzles.
Do you think it's an important trend in video games recently where people have been trying to merge the story, which has traditionally been cutscene based, into the gameplay like you guys did with that playful banter? Do you think that's where games are going now?
I think that is an important part of the narrative to games, that you don't want to sort of fall into the rhythm of, you've just got the gameplay and then you've got the story and then you've got the gameplay. You really want to fuse that throughout. And there's a lot of ways that people go about doing that. Valve's approach with Half-Life was to not have any cutscenes at all and always have, the story play out in the gameplay. And, I think there's some merits to that manner of doing it, but I think it's something that there's not just one size fits all solution for all video games. I think there's a lot of interesting ways to do it, and I think there's a lot of great developers out there exploiting those ways.
Without naming names, will Drake get to kiss somebody in this game?
Yes.
All right.
Is it Sully?
It's Lazarevich.
Before we wrap this up, obviously we want to talk to you about the multiplayer part of the game because that's new to the sequel, and from what we've played, it's very, very extensive. So can you give people an overview about what we're going to see?
Sure, yeah. It was a very important addition to the franchise for us. We were really excited to bring the Uncharted gameplay, which we feel is pretty unique out there amongst all the games, into the online arena. Being able to climb and jump and shoot really creates this interesting vertical dynamic to the gameplay, and it fortunately turned out to be a lot of fun. So yeah, we've got a lot of different modes, competitive and cooperative modes. Again, I haven't even bothered to count the number of competitive modes, but it's many 6, 8, 10, somewhere in that vicinity. And we've got 3 cooperative modes, and the cooperative modes play out with 3 players. The competitive modes are 5-on-5 team games. All of them are team games. And we really try to take advantage of the fact that Drake has, and then therefore all of the players in the multiplayer games have this really unique moveset that involves traversal, hand-to-hand, and shooting mechanics. And we, basically anything you can do in the single-player game, you can do in the multiplayer game. That was something that was really important. We didn't want to downgrade the experience at all, and that includes the fidelity of the graphics in terms of the environments as well as the animation.
How early did you guys start prototyping the multiplayer stuff? Was that something you did while you were still working on Uncharted, the original, and it was something that you wanted to build up on? Or was it something that happened right afterward?
Yeah, no, we didn't have any time when we were closing up Uncharted 1. That was definitely a race to the end just to get the game out. But yeah, it was pretty much first thing when we came back to start up on Uncharted 2 as we were in pre-production working out the game design. Some of the programmers just started experimenting with some online functionality, and the day that we got 2 Drakes running around on screen shooting at each other, we thought, okay, we've got something here, and just started building it from there.
Awesome.
Cool. And then before we wrap up here, to kind of step back away from Uncharted and Naughty Dog specifically, how do you think that Sony looks over the next 6 to 12 months? Because to us, it looks like the PS3 is starting to take off. Uncharted 2 is coming. I know for a lot of people we talk to around the office, that's going to be the game that gets them to finally buy a PS3. You've got Gran Turismo sometime hopefully in the next 12 months. Last Guardian. There's a lot of good stuff. So what is your opinion about Sony's future in the next year, let's say?
Oh, and there's a lot of great games coming out. I mean, some that haven't even been announced yet, but it's
like.
But yeah, I think Sony's got just an amazingly strong first-party lineup. I mean, we're really fortunate to be part of that stable because we have access to these great developers. Like Guerrilla, like Insomniac, like Sucker Punch, like Zipper. I mean, we get to exchange ideas and even share code, and it's just a real boon for us. And for gamers, I think being a PlayStation owner means you've got just a really wide, diverse variety of games coming out that you can look forward to. I mean, I'm looking forward to playing them myself once we're done with Uncharted 2.
Can you guys? That's always sort of a nebulous statement. The Worldwide Studios Initiative and all that stuff. Can you talk a little bit about how much you guys do as far as tech sharing? I know you guys have opened up all of your source code for the games to everybody that's internal, but we're just curious. I'm curious, I guess, how you guys share code, what kind of bits and pieces get shared, and if it's on a code basis or if you guys just speak about stuff. Or you have internal wikis? Is there?
Yeah, I mean, it's rarely done with on a code basis. It mostly is exchange of ideas, and that goes from artists getting together and exchanging production methodologies. It goes from, our designers have a lunch about once a month with the Sony Santa Monica studio, the God of War team, just to talk shop and see what's going on each other's games and again the production methodologies. Programmers sharing a lot of tech ideas. We got a really good idea from Guerrilla, actually via Insomniac, on how to get rid of our screen tearing in our game, and just exchanging some ideas like that just really end up helping out. And it's nothing too organized. I mean, there's one organized event every year around GDC. We have the internal Sony groups all get together in the days, the Monday and Tuesday before GDC, and people give presentations and exchange ideas. But outside of that, annual meeting, it's all just sort of up to the developers to just pick up the phone and give each other a call. Alex Evans has been really helpful, talking to Christoph a lot from Media Molecule, and just everybody understands how difficult it is to make these games, and that's not a comment on the PlayStation 3. I'm just saying next-gen games are so difficult, and the problems are so hard to solve that it's no longer you're not giving away a competitive advantage or trade secrets, because you've still got so much work to do to actually implement the idea, and it takes a great team to be able to implement the idea. That it's great to share ideas as much as possible.
Awesome.
Well, Greg, you got
one final question, Evan. How many yachts have you purchased since the announcement of the Uncharted movie?
Let me count. 0.
Oh.
I
should look into that.
Yeah. Well, thank you very, very much for calling in. Very much appreciate it. Uncharted 2, if I am correct here, is October 13th.
That's right.
Very good. Woo. I am very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think we all are.
Yeah. So, thank you again very much for calling in.
All right, thanks so much, guys.
We look forward to playing the game.
Thank you,
All
Evan.
right,
We appreciate it.
Beyond!
Beyond.
There you have it.
There it
Scared
was.
to come to my Comic-Con panel because he knew I'd nail him.
Now, speaking of Comic-Con, Greg,
nail
why don't you
For making an awesome game.
why don't you talk about things that you Beyondian things that happened?
How dare you, sir.
Many Beyondian things at Comic-Con this year. I have to thank everyone who did that. Ryan is making
I
gestures.
thought you were
He
only
wants
half
times.
Beyondian.
No,
Beyondian?
I'm full-blown Beyondian.
Okay. I thought it was just on your father's side. Sorry.
No, you never go full Beyondian. Anyways,
You were full
so me and Hillary get off the plane down there in San Diego. We're waiting on his bag. I have been in San Diego literally a minute and a half, and someone comes up to me and says, "Beyond!"
Beyond!
So right there, I knew we were in for a good show. I begged you guys last show to come to the Uncharted panel on Thursday and give out a fat Beyond in the beginning when I introduced myself. Sure enough, I did the whole introduction. There was 1,000 people there, maybe a little bit more in standing room background, and I would say probably a good 30 to 40 of you were right there with the Beyond. Huge. In the middle of the presentation, Amy Henning or somebody from Naughty Dog said, blah, 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 Beyond that. And I made one of these gestures out to the crowd, like, where was it? Because nobody said Beyond right away. And when I made the gesture, everyone on the panel stopped talking, and like one kid meekly went, Beyond. Which then and I said, "Oh, you guys are missing the softballs," and they're like, "Wait, what are you talking about?" So I had to explain to them what it meant, and I pitched this episode right now.
Now they all
so
know.
hopefully people will know. But then after that, people in the crowd were into it, yelling Beyond. The people on the panel were saying Beyond more, just to get people from the crowd to say Beyond. So excellent work there. And Met a ton of fans. I said, at the show last week that people, if you wanted to meet me or whatever, stay behind after the panel, get them, shake your hand. We had a couple dozen people stay behind who wanted handshakes and photos, autographs. Jeff, I'll let you know that you're not forgotten. Even though you're no longer on this show, I still any autograph I gave out at the show, I said Jeff Haynes Pieces Pants.
I will kill you. I'm going to
Greg
kill
Miller.
you.
Anybody, all the kids whose tags I autographed, make sure you take a photo of it, send it to Beyond at IGN, and we'll show it to Jeff.
Oh,
Yes.
poor Jeff.
For the love of
And
God.
the best from the panel was that there was two kids up front row, athletic blonde boys who I would have had nothing in common with me, you'd think, when I was their age, probably like 13 or 14. But I swear to God, these kids waited and waited. When the show ended, they came over to get their photo taken with me, and one of them comes over and stands next to me, and the only thing he says to me, looks at me, and goes, "I am freaking out right now!" And I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And later on in the show, like well beyond that, I mean, I got Beyonce on the floor, and
Beyond?
it was great. Thanks for everything. And then I went
Thanks,
to...
even though I don't pee my pants.
I know, Jeff. And then I went to... the folks over at Sony Online Entertainment asked me to host their video coverage for this fan event they were having that night with Jim Lee and the people behind DC Universe Online. And while I was there, I signed another... this kid came over, shook my hand, gave me a Beyond, then wanted me to sign something to prove that he had actually met me. So I signed a Green Lantern comic book with Jeff Haynes' Pieces Pants. I am, of course, I'm dressing that up. I didn't say Jeff Haynes. I just said Jeff. That way, it doesn't get back to Jeff Haynes. But anyways, tons
like
of cool
they would
things. Oh, and the final thing I'll tell you before I stop boring you with all this stuff is that
This is awesome.
when I was walking around in line interviewing the people waiting in line to get to this event, I came to a family. It was a dad and 3 sons, or they might have been friends.
My
but
3
for
sons.
sure,
Too
one of
cute.
them, one of them was sons. 2 of them were like maybe, I'll say 7 and 9, 1 maybe 12, like so he's a little bit taller. Names were Nate, Gus, and Miles. Thank you, I remembered that.
Nice.
Anyways,
Nicely
though,
done.
I walked over to them and they were all like, like whatever. And I thought, well,
Starstruck?
I have a camera with me and I have a microphone. Obviously, this is cool. So I talked to him for a while. Didn't think anything of it. Went on to interview more people. Did stuff, some bits inside. And eventually, at one point, we're inside and we're sitting at the table just watching the panel go. And my dad comes over with Gus and he comes over with Gus and Nate and says, "Hey, they couldn't say anything before because they didn't expect it, but they read IGN every day. Like they know who you are." And the smallest one, or the second to smallest one, named Nate, little redhead, just goes, "You're the funniest guy on IGN." Oh my God! So I sat there and took photos
So
with them and stuff.
cute.
It was a great show. It really amazes me every time I go to an event like this. Every year, there's more and more people who scream Beyond and know
shower?
who we are. Oh, that's true too. No, but
I
so
don't think
thanks
that,
everybody.
they're not the same people. Though.
No, not the same people.
At first, I thought you were going to say, I'm amazed he let me in.
Yeah, no, that too. Yeah,
And then you caught swine flu.
That's awesome. So it's growing.
From
yeah. If you got sick after that DC event, it was because I was horribly ill that night.
Yeah.
But I hit it well with drugs.
Wow.
Sunday I could not hide
Like
it.
all
Totally
true
legal.
IGN editors.
Totally legal drug.
Legal drugs.
Yeah.
That
I
we
almost
know
had to stop
of.
Hillary a couple times. We were
Jack-
walking on the floor on Sunday.
Jacko
I was
wasn't using
ready to faint.
Oh.
It was terrible.
Oh my God.
And I
that's
couldn't
awful,
talk.
dude.
Then me and Hillary went to the airport and sat for like 3 hours, and I could not say a word.
It
'cause
is
it hurt so bad.
quite possibly the worst feeling ever to be at a trade show doing work for someone like IGN and being sick, which I experienced the first night of TGS when I was sitting in the room with Charles, and I was like, "Dude, I'm not gonna lie, I'm about to die right now, and I think I need to go to sleep."
I've been there. My worst TGS experience ever was actually coming back from it. Fran and I were covering the show. This is like 04 maybe, and we were both deathly sick. We had gotten super sick, and we were on a plane the whole 15 hours.
Oh, dear God.
Couldn't breathe. The pressure was killing
Oh my
us.
God, that was the worst.
It was so terrible. And
Awful.
at that moment, I realized that I never wanted to go to TGS again.
Okay.
Today is the first day where my ears are normal again. Like when I've never been sick on I don't get sick all that often, so I've never been sick on a flight. And when we were coming in for a landing, my ears just went and I couldn't hear anything.
Do you guys have anything with sinuses? Where it's something I developed
I have them, yes.
very recently, like within the past couple of years. And yeah, if I'm really sick and I'm coming in on a plane, it's the most excruciating thing I've ever.
We
felt
went
in my
to-
life. I actually made noise. I was like, oh,
No. You don't know the half of it, dude. Me and
Oh
him
my
were
God.
coming back from that Seattle event where Sony showed all those games, and he's the row in front of me. It's Southwest, and I'm sitting there, and we're like coming in. I take off my headphones, and I sit there, and just literally out of the blue, Sam goes, He punches the seat in front of him, and the dude next to him goes, "Are you okay, man?" And Sam's like, "No, I can't even talk." Like I've never seen someone in such pain. I was like, "Oh my god!"
I seriously felt
I'm
like there was
so
something
sorry.
boring its way out of my head.
Oh my god! I felt so, and that's why I started freaking out when I was coming in, and my ears started going. I'm like, "Oh, this is not gonna be good." I almost saw Sam kill someone, or that's not what's gonna happen to me.
And it really it comes out of the lid. There's nothing to it. Like it's just a change in pressure, and it doesn't seem like it's that big thing because your ears usually pop when it's fairly big.
And then it just suddenly
No, yeah,
creeps
and
up
then
on
and
you.
it was like this little tickling feeling for a second, and then all of a sudden it was just like, and I never want to feel that again.
I've never seen someone
ever
he
again.
Screamed and punched the seat in front of him as hard as he could.
I would have started.
crap.
I would have just started crying.
No, I told truth. I was crying. Like there were tears coming out of my eyes. It was bad.
No, I mean, if I
hot
was
in
watching you, I would have started
It's
crying.
boiling in here.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
it's,
super hot. in
it's
this room.
already getting warm.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Roll up your
You know
pants
what
like
that
I did,
means?
We
gents.
need more Sham Pipple.
Toss the
Shirts off.
shin pebble.
Are we? Is that thing done here?
Pass
Give me
the
some
Sham
more.
Pipple.
I'll take
Oh
some
yeah,
more.
that seemed pretty good.
Okay, now being that this is episode
Being
100 of
on-
Podcast Beyond, last week we did the special best of episode, which Ryan, good job
Very,
putting
very
together.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Nice
As just a
edit for that
listener
one.
out there, it was great.
Yeah.
Can't hear me.
Oh yeah, Ryan's
Whoops.
not holding the microphone. And
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, again, thank you guys for submitting some cool clips.
I got
That turned
Ryan's.
out pretty well.
Thanks, sir.
Now, kind of keeping with the same focus of looking back since we're at 100, I thought it would be kind of cool for this week's topic of the week to talk about
Topic of the week.
PlayStation memories from everybody, be it things having to do with work or the systems or games themselves, just things that kind of stand out in your major milestones in your gaming history. For me, for example, to kind of kick this off, was one of the biggest things for me was waiting in line for the PS2. I was at work that day, and around lunchtime, like the Sony Metreon in San Francisco was going to sell at midnight. And around lunchtime during the day, I said, I need to go buy the system. So I just got up and left. My boss was at lunch, and I told my coworkers, I'm like, when he comes back, just tell him I want to buy a PS2. And I just left. And I waited in line. It was a 13-hour journey just sitting there, but it was cool. Sony was really good at that point about they gave everybody sweatshirts like when it kind of got cold at night. They brought everybody sandwiches and food. They
That was
brought
cool, yeah.
sodas.
That's huge, yeah.
Lunch, dinner,
They brought like little keychains, just little trinkets, and they would kind
Jeez,
of pass them
really?
out.
Yeah, they did it. That was the best launch I've ever seen.
Yeah, and it was over
Really
a period of
treated
time, so it
everybody
wasn't like they just gave you one bag and was like, "Here, make this work."
Yeah, they
Every
stuck
couple
with
hours,
everybody.
they'd come by in and give you stuff, and it was really cool. The people that were sitting around me were, the big gamers, and they all liked different things. There was one guy there who was like 40 or something, and he liked to play racing games. And another guy who was into like more action stuff, and we were just kind of talking. It was sort of like being at a music festival like Lollapalooza or something, but without the music. But
Yeah.
you're all just kind of sitting around. But so it gets to be about 11:30 at night, and I'd been there for 11 and a half hours, and they let everybody inside, and they go, okay, now we're going to line up. And I don't know how many people that were there. I think offhand they had like 750 to 1,000 systems, right? So that's give or take about how many people were in line at this
How
point.
far back in line were you?
I'm going to guess I was about halfway through.
Do you remember where you were? Like how the line wrapped around? And I don't remember where it started.
I didn't wrap around the side. I was like on one of the sides.
Okay.
So I don't know. But anyway, so they let us inside, and we go inside the Metron, and there were those little dividers they have for lines and stuff in movie theaters and whatever. And everybody's kind of waiting there, and then at some point people were just like, screw it. They're like, I've been waiting for 10 hours, and another half an hour isn't good enough for me. So they started taking apart the barriers, and like there all of a sudden was no line, and people were just running through in different directions. And I'm like,
Holy crap.
I'm like, this is stupid. I'm like, okay, so this sucks. I'm getting cut in line by a couple hundred people, but at the same time, they may get kicked out of the line and not by a system. And I'm like, I'm not going to have sat here all day and then get booted to the end. So I'm like, I'm going to keep my place in line, and even if it takes me another half hour, 40 minutes or whatever. And I got out of there at like, I don't know, 1:30 at night or whatever. And I had my system. And I remember at this point, people were going crazy for it, and you were hearing stories about, people were getting robbed and stores getting broken into before it came out. So I had my bag that said big ass PS2 on the side or whatever it was, and I'm like,
big blue bag.
I'm like, I gotta hide this thing, and then I kind of, but it was big, and then so I went to like the corner downtown San Francisco, and I'm hailing the first cab I got, and this dude showed up, and I'm like, all right. I got home, I popped in SSX, played it for like an hour, like I gotta go to bed. Went to bed at like 3 o'clock in the morning, going to work the next day. My boss is like, how's the PS2? And I'm like, it's awesome. He's like, good. And then never said anything about it again. So,
Oh man,
It's a good boss.
That's really
Yeah.
good.
good time.
that was cool. What are some of your favorite moments in PlayStation history?
Mine for sure would be the launch of the PS2 as well. I only waited 9 hours in line, but I remember it was for me personally the first like big purchase I'd ever made on my own. You know what I mean? Like there was no parental involvement. It was all money I'd gotten. You figure it launched in October, and I had a summer job just to make sure I had enough for it. But during the summer, I was buying DVDs for it.
Yeah.
Like I started building out my DVD collection because that's how huge it was that we were finally going to have a DVD player in our house, which shows you the time period
It's
back
amazing.
in the early aughts. And so there we were. I mean, like that was at 9 hours. I showed up. I was number 1 in line at a Meijer store in St. Charles, Illinois. And I got there, and they were not prepared at all. I just walked in the electronics section with a fold-up chair and a backpack full of crap. And I'm like, I'm here for the PS2 launch. And they look at me, and I go, I'm not a nerd. So I sat down. About 30 minutes later, the next person showed up, but I had a saved seat for one of my friends, and we waited and waited and waited. I remember being exhausted. It was a school night, obviously. Being exhausted by the time they were getting ready to sell them. And it's one of those things where I had psyched myself up so much to be number 1 that I was, number 1. I had done this, that now I was ready to defend it at any cost. And like there was some other employee, like my friend had worked at Meijer, so he knew people kind of. And one of these douchebag employees that he didn't like had come over now and was like chilling at the front counter, just talking up the electronics girl. And I was like ready to kill this kid because I thought he was going to try to take number 1. Like I don't know, I still would have gotten a system, but I remember being like so mad, like wringing my hands, like I'm going to kill this kid.
God,
Wow.
I can picture it.
If he said, I mean, you figure you wait 9 hours, some kid waltzes up, I would have killed him.
Yeah.
You know the funny thing about standing in a line that's if you're inside it might be a little bit different, but especially if you're outside and you're there and it's a huge line of hundreds of people, if some major movie is not opening or something, when somebody comes by, they will inevitably ask you, what are you standing in line for? What are you standing in line for? So we were out there and this would happen every half an hour and I started saying, we're in line for the new Pokemon movie, we're waiting for the Care Bears movie's opening, we just say all kinds of crap. And at one point, this policewoman and some other lady came by and they asked what it was about, and I think this was early, so we said, the PlayStation 2 is launching, and they kind of stood by themselves over near the street and they were talking to themselves. Then she comes back over and she's like, do you have to buy new games for this? And I'm like, yeah, that's the point. She's like, that's such a ripoff. They should just play your old games. I'm like, well, it does, but you're supposed to buy new. And she's like, that's a waste of money. I don't understand this. And then she left. I'm like, well.
We're in the middle of a supermarket, or like a Walmart, super Walmart pretty much. And like normal people would walk by all the time and they'd go, I remember the one guy walked by and he goes, it's just a game system, guys. And kept walking. It's like, dude, what do you care? Why do you care how I spend my money or evening?
I
So
wish
is
I
that-
could have seen that guy.
Is that Meijer, like
was me.
M-E-I-J-E-R?
Yeah, there you
Okay,
go.
I always wondered how to pronounce that. So
Yeah,
now I know.
there you go.
It's a
Perfect.
Midwest thing, I think.
Yeah.
I could totally picture you going, it's just a game.
It's just a game.
Oh, God.
Hey, give me one, would you? Oops.
What's yours?
My PS2 memory?
Oh, your
anything.
Sony memory.
Well,
Me and
mine,
Roper just share that.
mine's not a very good story, unfortunately.
Oh.
So, but for me, the PlayStation Memory 6 out most for me was when I discovered that Ridge Racer
That's right.
let you have custom soundtracks. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. I took the soundtrack to the Crow that had Burn on it from
That was a good soundtrack.
from The Cure and the Nine Inch Nails song. Anyway,
Really good sound.
It is. It's my favorite movie soundtrack ever. And I would just put that in, and I would be racing to the Crow soundtrack using Ridge Racer. I thought that I had found the world's greatest video game
This is
system
the
at that
future
point.
of gaming.
It's so, in retrospect, it's such a stupid feature to get excited about. But I was totally blown away by it. I was like, yeah.
You know what's
How
awesome
old
is
were you
people
when
are
that was happening?
I was 48 years old.
Oh, okay.
No, let's see. What year was that? That was 95, 96. So
Something like that, yeah.
I was still a teenager.
Yeah, because I could just picture you like the teen Jeremy, just like sitting with the controller, like, "Da-na-na-na-na, man, it's such a good time."
I was like, I was bobbing my head to the music. The only other memory that I have was the launch of the PS2. Actually, I was living in Atlanta at the time, and Atlanta was going crazy over the PS2. It was on the news. It was in the newspaper. There were lines out every store you could imagine, just people waiting to get the system. And my wife, at the time, she was my girlfriend. She worked at GameStop, but they called it Babbage's then.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that.
So I don't know. I had such this great feeling of accomplishment. As I was basically, I want one. So she just held one on the side for me. After all these people waiting in line all night, it was like the greatest feeling in the world is to walk in, like, yeah, I'll take one of those. And everyone's like, what? What's happening?
See, I would have punched you.
And I would have punched back.
I know.
And I would have
boot.
punched back. But it's, I don't know. It was a dick move, but it was something that definitely
Yeah, but you
made
felt
me
like a
feel
pimp
good.
doing it, huh?
I did. I totally did. So those are my two standouts.
When
I
he
remember-
walked in, oh, go
I
ahead.
remember when we went to when the PS3 came out, Jeremy, you and I went to the Metron early in the morning, and there were like 1,000 people or
Yep.
whatever there, and they're like, yeah, the line's already cut off. So we're like, all right, we were at IGN already, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But we're trying to just get some extra systems for the office because I think at this point Sony had only gotten us 2.
Yeah.
And so
eventually we ended up with 13.
yeah. But so we go to this line. It's crazy. We can't even stay. Like it's cut off already. So we're like, all right, we'll leave. And then we talk to some Sony folks, and they're like, all right. And it's like the day after or something. Like, okay, we got 2 at the Metreon for you. You can come pick them up. And in order to go get them, basically nobody was supposed to know that they had them. Like the manager was cool with them or whatever.
Yep.
We like pull up in this little side thing, and we go inside. Or no, I parked normally. We went inside. We talked to the manager, and he's all hot. He's like, "Come over here." He's like, "All right, here's what we're gonna do." He's like, "I can't give them to you in the middle of the store because people will see. So I'm gonna bring them out the side exit."
Oh man, what's
We
going
got
on?
a call.
Special
Uh-oh.
guest.
They've been doing it.
Who's calling in? Beyond?
Is this Beyond? Is this the Adam Carolla podcast?
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to hang up on you now.
Yeah, goodbye.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi.
Are you calling for a pizza order?
I'm sorry, what?
Are you calling for a pizza order?
Yeah.
We actually are a Chinese food restaurant.
I'm sorry. We do have this new Chinese pizza, though.
Do you want to introduce yourself, sir?
Hey, this is Jeff from the PlayStation blog.
Whoa!
Jeff, the real Jeff. What's going on, man?
Oh, burn!
Is it, do we have another Jeff in there? Though?
Yeah,
yes.
we do.
Oh, yes.
Beyond.
Wait.
I'm sorry, I thought you were Hainsey.
This is true.
Lindsay.
I'm glad that we've got you in the room because I was worried that if you weren't going to be sitting in on this, what would happen if you all broke out into some, a cappella song, and we would have someone to be the one that slows it down.
Oh, that's nice.
So, Jeff,
man.
what have you been up to, sir?
Oh, I'm just taking the day off here. I bought a house.
Oh,
So,
What, really?
I know, right?
Seriously?
Congratulations.
He's
I
a homeowner.
thought I felt good about buying a dining room table this weekend.
Well, if you don't have a place to put it, we need one.
Okay, I'll bring it right over.
But I definitely want to say congratulations to you guys.
Thank you.
Definitely
Thanks.
putting on the most entertaining podcast. And if I didn't have any idea of how popular you were, that became very apparent at Comic-Con when Mr. Greg Miller was the moderator of the Uncharted panel. And
Hell
every
yeah.
time he was able to throw out a Beyond, he was. It's a big thing to just hang out there. It's a big meatball. If no one's replying, it's going to look really stupid. And you got it back every time.
Yeah.
Word. That rule, Jeff.
I don't know. Maybe they weren't there for the Uncharted cast.
I have a feeling that might be the
They were there
case
for you.
with some of them.
They just wanted to see Greg.
Yeah.
I was the main draw. Everybody knows it. That's why Evan Wells didn't even come. He knew he'd be overshadowed by me.
Yeah. Wow.
So, Jeff, what are you doing for work besides buying a house and being a pimp?
Today, just getting ready for Fat Princess.
Yeah.
There you
You
go.
are. You're
Coming
going to
out
play
this
that.
Thursday.
I'm assuming you're going to play that like for about 400 hours, right?
In a row, yes.
Okay.
We're doing it for charity. It's for the kids.
Yeah. And the cake.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, yeah, cake.
Yeah.
Man, I could go for some cake right
All right,
now.
all right, Jeff, right now you've walked in on toe. Topic of the week. What is your favorite PlayStation memory of all time for you personally?
My favorite PlayStation memory of all time is probably back now I remember. So I got one in '95, summer of '95, and it was playing Resident Evil. The two games I got the system for were the original Twisted Metal and for the first Resident Evil. And bringing it home that night, and everyone was gathered around, and I was like, let's shut off the lights. Because, how scary is a game going to be? And when those dogs jump through the window,
Yeah.
screams.
That's awesome.
Far and away, it's seared into my brain.
Yeah. That's a pretty good one. All right, man. We're going to let you get back to your house buying then.
Well, congratulations, guys. Thanks
Thank
for letting
you.
me call
Thanks
in.
so much, dude.
Thank you very
for calling
much.
in.
We love you.
See ya.
Beyond.
Oh,
Oh, that was good.
nice.
Oh, Jeff Rubenstein.
So let's get on to Ryan. How about you?
You didn't
What's
finish your story.
Which story was that
Oh,
about?
did you manage to call us out?
Okay.
It was right at the cliffhanger.
Go ahead.
Let me take you out back.
Okay, so we're in the middle of the metro, and the guy's like, I can't give it to you here. Let me take you out back. So we go back and get in the car, and I couldn't even leave in the parking spot where I was at, so we had to drive around. It's all one-way streets there or whatever. And we drive around this little side hatch, and we're kind of sitting there, and sure enough, like some lady, I think it was some lady, comes out of the side with this box of.
And it wasn't even the Metreon she came out of the side of. It was the building down the street.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, they're like pull up to like the shipping station or whatever over this building. We're like, it goes by the Jillians or whatever. We're like, all right.
Oh, you like on the other near the Moscone Center?
Yeah,
that was the employee entrance.
And I think we were waiting there for 5+ minutes, and so it kind of seemed like we were in the wrong place. And then, sure enough, some lady comes out with a random box, and she's like, "I got it." Go around, throw it in the trunk, speed out of there. Yep. Sure enough, we had 2 more PS3s.
That same day, though, just for fun. Remember, we took. Actually, no, it wasn't the same day. It was before the PS3 came out. We took the retail box. We took all the stuff out of it, and then we walked around holding the box in the middle of the mall.
That was awesome. Nick's walked by while all those people were sitting in line with an empty PS3 box and was just walking back and forth. And I was at the very end of the line for the PS3 picking one up from my business partner, and I was literally the last person in the line, I think. And so this is back by the parking garage, and he was seriously just walking back and forth, just like not looking at the line, just looking straight forward, just walking back and forth. And all these people are like, "That dick! Oh God, you think you're so cool?" And it was amazing. I love Nick.
He does have the greatest mullet I've ever seen.
Yes.
Did he have a mullet back in the day?
So what he did was, this is not a PlayStation memory, but it's a funny story, is we were driving to E3 several years ago, and as we were driving, it was me and Hillary and a couple of the video guys in a car, and we're driving down I-5, and all of a sudden Hillary's like, "Dude, check out the chick in the car next to us. She's rocking a major she's rocking a major mullet." I look over and it's Mark Nix. He had cut his hair to look like you ever seen the movie Monster?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Okay, do you remember what Charlize Theron did to her hair?
Absolutely.
He had that haircut.
That's amazing.
My God. And he's driving by, so of course we're trying to get his attention, going 75 miles an hour on I-5. We're hanging out the windows like, "Mark, Nix, look at us." And he didn't recognize us, amazingly. And,
I bet he did.
No, he totally did. He totally did. He just was like,
well, no, he was like, he just sped off. He went like 85 and just took off. So yeah, he did have a mullet.
That movie has an awesome soundtrack.
He did it in celebration of E3. Mark Nix is a very odd fellow.
He is a strange man.
And why is he relevant to Podcast Beyond? Because before he worked at IGN, he worked at Sony for many years.
That's cool.
Yes.
Working over there and running their online site. Way before
Is
the
his mom
days
still
of.
there? She was there for a while too, right? Like,
I think so. She used to work for Nintendo. I'm not sure where she works now.
Okay.
Mark Nix did get us that giant PlayStation cabinet where some of the games that we never play are locked inside because we lost the key now.
Yeah, because a guy in another department who no longer works here borrowed the key and then left and never gave the key back.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So we just have to pick the lock.
Yeah, we do, but we just think it's a funnier story to leave all the games closed.
I'm the master of
they're all
unlocking.
like Xbox One games from like or
Chris
like
is our old friend,
2002 or
don't you
whatever.
know?
Yeah. But anyway,
man.
PlayStation memory, Ryan Clements.
let's hear it.
Well, I have told it on the podcast before, but it's been a long time.
Old.
Is that okay?
Let's hear the abridged version then.
The abridged version is just me for the first time seeing the commercial of my favorite commercial of Final Fantasy VII. Now, I don't know if I've described this, but basically I'm going to do the voice right now. It's just quick. But it involves all the awesome cutscenes when back in the day you were like, there will never be better graphics than this. Like, I remember thinking that. And it was something like, 4 years in the making. An expensive world and a cast of thousands. People said it would never come out in a major motion picture. They were right. Final Fantasy VII. And it shoots up on the screen, and I was like, "Oh my God, yeah!" And that was my my eyes started to bleed, and that was my favorite.
Let me ask you
memory.
this: what happened when you saw the commercial again?
And I was like, "That's pretty cool."
That game pisses me off.
Oh,
What?
Not because I didn't like the game, but because, all right, so if back in the day, Square, when it was just Square, not Square Enix, had a special club that you could join that basically...
They kicked you out of the club, didn't they?
No. You sent in proofs of purchase and any of these other things that you have that proves that you bought their games, and they would send you cool stuff. So when Final Fantasy VII was just about to come out, they sent people that were part of this club that I don't even remember what the hell it was called. They sent me a VHS tape that had a behind-the-scenes look at Final Fantasy VII, and it had an interview with the entire staff and all sorts of things. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. I had seen maybe 2 minutes of it. I'm like, I'm going to watch this after work. So I went to go to work. At the time, I was a short order cook. I came back, I came back to work, and my room was completely trashed. I'm like, what the hell happened? Was I burglarized?
Tape came to life.
No. My stupid friggin' dog got into my room, destroyed everything, found the VHS tape, and ate it.
Oh man!
I never got to see that tape.
So, and that's what annoys you about that game.
Amazingly, when I think back about Final Fantasy, the commercial. When I think back about Final Fantasy VII, that tape, the first 2 minutes I saw was that commercial, or at least a version of it, with the beginning of the interviews, and that's what immediately comes to mind is my stupid dog ate that VHS tape and destroyed my. Also broke like 20 of my CDs. We got rid of that dog.
What kind of dog was it?
I was a short order cook. That's all I'm saying. What
kind of dog was it?
It was a what the hell was it? It was a half Doberman, half black lab.
Okay, it would have been great if it was like a little Jack Russell Terrier or something.
It was a big dog. We called it Goofy because it was a complete idiot. And then we ended up giving it to a friend of our family's who worked with my mom.
And it murdered them.
No, they had like a
sleep.
ranch style house, so the dog could go out and play in the outdoors as opposed to destroying everything it saw in our house.
That friend's name was God.
That damn tape. Hey, if anybody has that tape out there, if anybody has that tape or a link to a YouTube
there's gotta be a
video,
YouTube video.
something, let me know where it is because I never got to watch the damn
years
thing.
and years of connections. You've never tried to get this tape.
It's a two-source spot.
Okay.
No,
you don't want to bring it up?
We don't know when
I don't wanna
Square's
talk about
got it. Huh? No one at Square has it, I'm sure.
No.
At this point,
Probably not.
It's all falling apart. Well, not Square anymore.
I mean, the Square's entire hierarchy of people has changed very dramatically since the time I started in this job. When I started at IGN, there was a completely different makeup of people over there than it is now. So.
Was it like J.I. and Francine and trying to think of who else was there.
Kyoko,
of course. Well, she came in right as Francine Demore was leaving.
And then she was there for like 2 years, and then she was out.
And Ryan's out.
Running.
Where are you going?
This bad mouthing.
Ryan's too excited about the podcast.
It was the champagne.
You have to pee?
Blame it on the alcohol.
Wait, are you going to pee? Yeah. Are you going to pop the cork?
Blame it on the alcohol.
Bring the mic. Bring the mic with
He's
you.
going to puke. He's going to puke.
Yeah, he is.
I've seen the Naked Gun.
He's got a float.
Jeff, why don't you hit up your PlayStation memory?
God, it's. I have to try and figure out like which one to even talk about because like.
There's so many.
No, there are in a way because I mean like
in a way.
Yeah, I mean like primarily just because I have been writing about Sony or PlayStation things for about 10 years. So yeah, like whether it's just like going out to ranges with Navy SEALs and firing guns, or one that I already mentioned on the show like episodes ago, which was getting my PS2 before everybody else really got their PS2.
Oh yeah, from the party.
From the party with somebody who's no longer at Sony.
For giving you that system.
Yeah. But I think probably the one that just always is probably going to stand out for me is MGS4. Going to Japan and playing MGS4 primarily because the group of us that went over there, we all went over and none of us actually knew that we were going. Like I knew and I knew Sterling was going because we were in the same office. But outside of that, I was like, I have no idea who exactly is going with me on this trip. And so we showed up, and then we show up at the train station, and we all just like roll through, and it's just like pack of gaijin just rolling through. And you could also tell because there was just all these European journalists that were kind of clustered together. So it was like Americans, and then Europeans, and then like a few Aussies, and it was almost like just pack warfare because we're just like staring at each other like, who the hell are these people? And we all like cluster up on this train, and we roll out, and we're going through the countryside, and it's like, where the hell are we going? And it was at least a 2.5 hour train ride and then another hour bus ride.
They were simulating an MGS4 cutscene.
Pretty much. Pretty much. But like once we got to their compound, it was like, oh my god! Like Konami is so loaded because of their connections in Japan. They have a huge compound that they do military simulations on.
It's the Konami compound? The complex.
It's the compound, and they have monkeys, and they're like, don't touch the monkeys or antagonize the monkeys in any way; they will kill you. And we're like, yeah, right. They're freaking monkeys. And we wake up the next day, and they're monkeys like all over the place. And we're like, holy crap, they're monkeys here. It's like they're gonna kill people. And it was kind of like playing the game and seeing like just this wildlife out there that they just owned. It was this really odd mix of like a surreal situation and an awesome game experience.
How was
Sam?
How was your pee?
Hold on, he's gonna tell you.
All systems nominal.
Oh,
Also,
Hey.
nominal.
just
Isn't that
just
okay.
being outside, it is
Yeah.
friggin' hot
Yes.
in
Oh, yeah,
here.
yes, it
Holy
is.
God!
Who's gonna open the
It's a
door?
boiler
We're
room.
suffering for you.
Sam,
We're going beyond.
why don't you hit it?
I can't remember if I've actually told the story or not. There was the week before the PlayStation 2 launched. They had the big party down in LA. So DJ Dan, Mixmaster Mike, and Paul Oakenfold all played like a big concert in
The Pacific Design Center.
That's right. Exactly. Just a big parking garage where they laid down a bunch of blue carpet, and I turned 21 that night, so that was awesome. But I think I've already told that story. So I was working at Gamers.com, which is now no longer around.
No.
I
A
know.
website that isn't
I
around
know, go
anymore. I don't
figure.
believe.
A .com that had like $30 million and blew through it in 2 years. Because they didn't have a business plan.
Overrated.
It was those are very good years. Though.
Have some
There's
stock.
so much money being thrown around.
some stock.
Yeah,
Here you
exactly.
go.
That's exactly it. Exactly. I'm gonna be so rich. It doesn't matter if it's not worth anything. I have like, tons of shares of it. Anyway, so at the time, we just like with the PS3, we got our systems from Sony a little bit early, like I think about a week or so early, and so we literally were going to have a contest where we gave away a PS2 every single day. Until I think like the end of the year, something ridiculous. Well, their plan to actually have that happen was to have all of us go down there and buy them. So on launch day, we all went down, and I got mine from Cosmo. I do remember that.
Yeah, the delivery service, that was the greatest thing of all
That's right.
time.
Yeah, we definitely
At
discussed that.
first, I thought you meant the women's magazine Cosmo.
Yeah,
Or Kramer.
Cosmopolitan, or Kramer.
Which wouldn't be too far of a stretch.
No, I'm pretty sure he'd run
Yeah.
around. Yeah. So I waited in line like everyone else, and we were at the front part of the Metreon, and most of the guys from Gamers had gotten there fairly early. A lot of the DB guys, and everybody was involved. Every single person that worked at Gamers was in line, and the company was going to reimburse them after they picked up their systems. But if they could get 2 or 3, they were going to go for it. Of course, that wasn't allowed. So I get there, everyone's chilling, and because I was in the press at the time, they gave us press passes, so I was able to hop in and out of line the entire time. So I did a whole bunch of stuff. I went
Drugs.
underwear shopping with some people that worked with Sony, some of the girls that were there. I hopped out of line, ran to it's one story that I won't get into. Was jumping in and out of line, running into the store, talking to all the guys that were working there at the time. It was a lot of fun, and then of course there was lunch that was being served. When the sun kind of went down, they gave everybody jackets and rain slickers and umbrellas and stuff like that. So that was just a really good time. They totally took care of everybody, and just being able to run around and play fancy press dork was just made it that much more special. So yeah, that's it. The party was definitely my favorite memory, but I think I've already told that. So.
Now, Ryan, since you left, you missed the part where we all talked about the games that we bought for the PS2 chronologically. So go.
Okay.
In exact order. If you don't get it, you lose
I do
limb.
think an interesting
You're fired
real
if you don't
topic before we hop off, because I know we're starting running long. Well, the first PS1 game you ever bought. You don't need to explain it, just what it was.
Well, what if you bought? What if your first
I
game was like a collection though? Like I bought 3 or 4 games the first time I bought my PlayStation
Well, yeah,
1.
at launch
The
day,
first one they checked out.
At launch day, I know that I got at least 2. I got Battle Arena to Shinden and Ridge Racer.
Yeah.
And those may have been the only 2, but I know I got those.
I got to Shinden. I got Ridge Racer. I got the Raiden Project. Anybody remember that one?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And then, wow, man, what the hell was the other one that I got? That's it, I think. And then I think the other games I got afterwards.
Well, and the great thing, which they don't do this anymore, but the original PlayStation came with a really packed demo disc
That was
of a
an
ton
awesome
of
demo
games.
disc.
Yep.
That was an
And so I
awesome
played the
demo
hell
disc.
out of the demo disc just over and over and over again.
I just remember how blown away I was by the trailer for Philosoma.
Yeah,
however you wanna
I
say
bought that game when it came out.
Yeah, it was okay, but the trailer made it look much better than it was. First PS2 game I ever bought was Tekken Tag Tournament. That's the game I got with it. That's the only game I got. I didn't give a crap about the other.
Oh, no,
launch
you missed out.
I-
Smugglers Run, Silent Scope. That's what the PS2 was at.
So one of the reasons that I stood in line for 13 hours for the PS2 was because I had bought 5 or 6 games before it came out. Because back in this time,
That's right,
they were selling
before.
systems.
So early.
They were
That's
selling systems and
Yep.
controllers before it came out. I had spent like $400 on stuff, and I didn't even have the system yet. And I'm like, I can't not go buy this thing because
Did you get
otherwise.
the stand?
No, I didn't buy the stand because I wasn't.
I got the stand.
Did you get the horizontal stand?
I got both of them.
What? What? I
you
imported mine from
serious?
Japan.
I had both stands.
But man,
Greg, your first PS1 game.
My first PS1 game of all time was WWF Attitude.
Of course.
I had that one too.
Hell yeah. That was
Ryan?
the one.
How
With-
fitting was that? Either Battle Arena or Warhawk might have gotten them on the same day.
Warhawk was
Not
very
bad,
good.
Jeff.
Jeez, I actually my very first one. I think I might have gotten. It was either I got Ridge Racer and Intelligent Cube.
Okay, I don't remember Intelligent Cube at all.
It was just
Really?
No.
Kind of running around on the
Yeah,
plane,
just running
using the
around
blocks,
and
kinda
clearing
flip forward.
blocks.
It was also hard,
Hard to fall off the
it was
edge,
hard
you
to
had to kinda,
find
like,
for a
move
while
around.
too, and for a while it was like an
Make
$80 PlayStation game.
Yeah.
yeah. Like I still have that and play it like every now and then just for the hell of it. 'Cause
They
it's-
re-released it
It's
on,
awesome. It's hard, but it's
there's-
it can be hard.
It's like IQ with a Q.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that
Yeah.
now. Sam.
I actually mooched off of Friends and Roommates until Final Fantasy VII came out.
Gotcha.
That's actually the first game I bought.
It's a good way to do it.
What's the last PlayStation 1 game that you bought?
Oh. I probably have no idea.
Top Shop.
What?
A terrible Japanese board game where you walk around a mall buying things. Yeah.
Nobody's going to beat that
Yeah.
one.
Wow.
I'll never forget it because the PS2 was already out and my friend only had a PS1, so we were in the store and I found that and I was like, "This is terrible."
I do remember the last PS1 game I bought.
Yeah, the last PS1. I do remember that.
So I had the PS1 at launch, and then when the give or take around the Nintendo 64 came out, I wasn't playing that many PS1 games anymore. I was more into PC gaming. So I was in college, didn't have any money, so I sold my PlayStation 1 to buy a Nintendo, and then played 3 games on that. And then years later, I bought it again to get. Or I had rented, or no, one of my roommates had a PlayStation, so I had bought the original Tony Hawk for it. Then after he left and Tony Hawk 2 was coming out, I bought the PS1 Slim or whatever you want to call it, the PS1
PS1
ONE.
lowercase.
I bought that with a Tony Hawk 2, and that was the last game I ever. So I bought a system and the one game, and that was the last thing I ever bought for it.
Mine was Ark the Lad Collection.
Nice. Very nice.
It was very cool, and I'd been waiting forever for it. I loved all the RPG work that Working Designs did.
I believe mine was Lunar.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Which
pretty
one?
good.
Like the
One or
collection.
two?
The collection.
Well, there were two of them.
Silver
They
Star
had two. They had
Complete?
Silver Star,
Yeah,
and then they had.
it was Soul Star Complete.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sam, last one.
Let's see. Oh, I started getting stuff fairly early once I had established that I can just make a website and start contacting companies. And so, they start sending. So I think the last one I bought was, oh man, Felony 1179. I don't know if you guys.
Oh
yeah, no,
my
it was
God.
Runabout. Here's a fun fact. There is. I don't know if she still works here.
There are no fun facts associated
No,
with Felony
trust me.
1179.
There's a girl who works on the 8th floor. I don't know if she still does. She rides the shuttle in. Smoking hot, ridiculously hot. She did the Japanese voices for that game. I'm not kidding. Yeah.
How'd
and she
you
rides
figure
the
this
shuttle
out?
in.
What's that?
And she rides the shuttle
And
in
she
every
rides the
day.
shuttle.
How did you
yeah.
find this out?
Pixar didn't
I
happen.
talked to her.
Oh.
Yeah, just
Pixar-
chatted.
Pixar
Sam
didn't
is a
happen.
player.
It's
She's like,
true.
yeah, I work
almost-
at
I almost thought
Walmart.com now,
Vagrant
but I did
Story, but
Japanese
yeah.
voices.
Well, yeah,
This is a
right.
terrible game.
No. I don't know what she is. Like, not one of the modeling people.
Pix.
Yeah, anyway.
What's wrong?
I was just gonna say
Looks like
that
Kyoko.
the last game I got was actually only a few years ago. It was very recently
Cute.
because this was when I resolved to buy every version of the Final Fantasy series, all the canonical versions, and so I bought Final Fantasy 9, like one of the greatest hits copies off online. Yeah,
That's pretty
Did you
good.
beat that game?
I never actually have played it all the way through. I've seen the ending.
Sad.
You
and
call
I know
yourself a
it's really
fan.
it's a good game.
It's
from what I hear.
bittersweet.
Final
Bittersweet.
to see.
Yeah.
All right.
That was terrible. Sorry.
That was awesome.
I just
Ian.
punched myself in the face for that.
So now it is time for what we had talked about for weeks and weeks, and you guys sent in your phone numbers. It's time for our special edition of Reader Mail.
Reader Mail.
Literal mail call.
Channel Mail.
Literal mail
That would
call.
be so good.
Where we
Voicemail?
call some of you and get you guys on the phone, have us read your questions. We got some favorites in there that we called and have read many emails from and many board posts from. But now we're actually talking to some of the people. So let's kick this thing off. All right, and now it is time for the thing we've been talking about for a couple weeks now.
Oh, man.
Instead of doing regular reader mail with paper and board posted emails and stuff, we're going to call readers here in a second. But
Call them on the phone.
We're going to call them
No
on the phone.
less.
On the tele.
Greg, you want to crack something open?
Yeah, we're gonna
first?
crack another bottle. There's a bubbly open here.
Let's do
Celebrate 100. Ryan's got his mic there. Hold on. All right, here.
Don't get this all over the computer because you're gonna ruin the show. that took off like a bullet.
Jesus.
All right, let's do it. Call some.
All right.
I thought I'd overflow.
All right, so here we go with call number 1. We're going to try to call up Rolls-Royce 5. Let's see if I can get this thing going.
Hello?
Beyond!
Beyond.
Rolls-Royce 5, what is up, man? You're on Podcast Beyond, episode 100.
I'm doing great, man. How about you guys?
Good. You are our first caller, so what question do you have for us? This better be good.
Send it
I've
beyond.
got a couple of them, man. Can you guys tell me, is IGN fanboy of Ratchet and Clank Jeremy Dunham in the podcast with you guys?
He's not right
He's
now.
not
Not
right
right
here.
now, but he will be. Yes.
He'll be in later.
Very
but
much so.
Yeah.
So is he going to be dusting off his fanboy chops to review Ratchet and Clank
That is
Future, the one that...
That is to be seen. It will depend on what the schedule is like later this year. But I know he is interested in doing so.
Definitely.
So we will see.
Okay. And what about you guys changing your opinions on games during their development cycle? Because I know one example for me personally, after playing the beta test for Resistance 2 and Killzone 2 back in the fall, I thought Resistance was going to be so much better than Killzone, but when they came out, it was completely the opposite. So how do you guys feel about that?
Well, I mean, one thing is that when you're playing a beta of a game or you're playing a demo or whatever, it's a small piece of the overall thing, right? So maybe you'll get the best part of it. Maybe you won't get. Maybe you only get kind of something that winds up being okay. Maybe it'll be tweaked later on when it comes out. So you're going to get more. You're going to hopefully get better. And sometimes you play something once and you're focused on that one thing you get better at, and everybody's kind of focused. And then when a game comes out and it's got 10 modes or whatever, it kind of gets watered down, and everybody it's kind of divided their attention, and so it can change just the overall experience.
Yeah, the other part is that sometimes the betas don't even necessarily have all the features that you're going to find, so you wind up getting just half a slice of what you expect, and you're going, okay, I know what this is. And then all of a sudden the final product comes, and you go, whoa, what the hell was this?
Yeah, when I previewed Folklore, I liked it a lot, but I couldn't get into the final product all that much.
Oh, Samurai Panda.
What sucks is that for a lot of times when we're doing preview coverage of stuff, it's usually just a chunk of the game. So it's really tightly controlled. They make sure that they're showing us really specific stuff. So
they just kind of steer you into what they want you to see.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, cool, man. Well, thank you very much for the question.
Yeah, thanks for calling.
Thanks for being on, dude.
Beyond.
Oh, yeah, thanks for having me. Beyond.
All right, now it's time to call up Dom OSX.
Oh, man.
I'm getting crunked on this shit.
Here we go.
I have not eaten anything today. I'm getting over being
That's
sick.
true. Oh, yeah, no breakfast. This is going to be fun.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Dom. Leave a message.
Let's leave a message.
You messed up, man.
What have you done?
We went beyond for you.
Hey,
and
we
you
love
were
it when we
there.
give our fans simple instructions and they can't follow them.
Oh, beyond.
It's okay. One day, you'll save our lives.
Your recording has officially been vampire struck. Boom! Again. Oh, there it is.
Don't stop recording.
Careful.
All right, now it's time to try to call up Brandon.com. He has a question about first impressions.
Hello? Hello?
Beyond, man, what's going on? Is this Brandon.com?
And.com?
Don't fail
Yeah.
us.
Are you Brandon.com?
Tyler?
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, is this Tyler or Brandon?
No,
No,
we're looking for Brandon.com. Are you Brandon's father?
We are your father.
Suspense is killing me.
Is this Mr.com?
Hello?
.com
I think he's gone to get it.com.
Let's
Okay.
see.
.com the first.
The mystery deepens.
Were there instructions that this was not his cell phone number?
No, I don't know.
You have
I
no
didn't,
idea.
I didn't write this stuff down.
Number. But this is so
And
much
yet-
better.
This is what happens when you try to call people.
That's right.
Sometimes
Back
that's
in
the
the day
answer.
before everybody had a cell phone.
Yeah.
And now people wonder why we
You know,
don't
I
have
was thinking
the
about
live
that. It is kind of crazy that we live in a time now where even, kids have cell phones. Everyone
Yeah.
has a cell phone.
Everybody does.
Have you thought about that?
This-
no
this
one will
is why
ever
nobody-
understand that, what it was like growing
Exactly.
up without that.
The whole idea of a landline to
Well,
be
well,
being
yeah,
tied to
it's just how everybody's been saying, payphones. Nobody even really knows
Yep.
what they are anymore because they don't exist because everybody
I
has
wonder
cell
if the
phones.
line is
50
even
cents,
still
man.
connected.
Well, you have to go
It's
to
still clicking.
Yeah,
And I
it's
hear
going.
stuff coming out of it.
They just have a big house. It's a palatial mansion. It's an estate.
Yeah.
He had to hop in his golf cart, drive across the
He is a .com. They have to find him in the office
aviary.
park.
That's true. There you go.
I don't know.
We'll give it a few more seconds.
Yeah.
We got to Phil. Roper. I hear there's a PS3 Slim in the room.
Oh,
Is there?
snap, son.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's see.
It could be
Just start
behind that
moving
piece.
your hand.
Is that what Solius?
Just start moving your hand and see if
Is it
it'll
under your
turn
paper, Sam?
Oh,
it could be
wait,
there.
Let's see.
Maybe. I don't know
no.
if it's there.
Nothing there.
Well,
Maybe it's inside the bottle of champagne, or inside my cup. I'll drink to find it.
oh God, no! It's in your
Hey.
stomach.
Brandon's father, are you still there, sir?
No, he's not.
No.
We should call back.
Okay. Well,
We'll
I
call
think that's
back.
a fail.
I mean, like right now, immediately.
Okay. All right, take care.
Bye now.
here I'll call back, and then I'll just ask for Brandon.
And I'll be.
Are you Albert Franklin?
No. Yes, actually, there you go. I will be.
Just be super normal.
Not possible.
Impossible.
Hello?
Hello, sir. Is Brandon available?
Please try.
Is this Brandon?
What?
Is this
Brandon there?
Brandon? We're looking for Brandon.
Please try.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
We're
Oh no! What is going on?
What is happening here? Are we pranking somebody else?
All right, fail call.
Yeah.
That didn't work out so
That
well.
was
I
an
wanna call him
epic
one more
fail.
time.
All right, it's time to try to ring up Big Boss X. Let's see if he's home. I believe that he lives in Maryland because the 301 area code. That's where I used to live.
Really?
That's where I grew up.
interesting.
We'll find him.
Beyond!
Yes!
Freaking on it, man!
He could feel it. He could sense it in the phone.
Yep.
Beautiful.
How's it going, man? Hey, quick question for you. Do you live in Maryland?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, that's where I grew up.
Woo!
See, there you go.
Very
Connections.
Welcome to Podcast Beyond.
Beyond.
Beyond?
Beyond.
Yes.
good. What is your question for us?
What is your favorite color?
To Sony Studios, which would it be to make one game?
Ooh, any game?
Yeah.
Ooh, let's see.
That's a good question.
Naughty Dog.
Does it have to be an existing game, or can it be? Can I be like, I want to see a Army of Darkness good game, or whatever.
Ninja Kangaroos.
Yeah, Ninja Kangaroos. Can it be any game, or it has to be an existing game that a different studio works on?
Ooh, man.
Wow.
I would say I want to see Naughty Dog do a new Superman game because I would like the story not to suck.
That
That's
not-
pretty
pretty
good.
That's not a bad
They've
answer.
already showed they can do traversal and stuff, so flying around wouldn't be that troublesome.
Yeah.
Wrap
Yeah,
a good
it's
story
fine.
around it. There you go, winner.
Huh.
All right,
I-
good talking to you, Bob.
I would like to see Santa Monica do a Clerks click and point adventure.
Wow.
Just
Nice,
blew
nice,
my
nice.
mind.
Bring that back to the present day.
Okay.
Ryan, what do you
Very
got?
nice.
I would want to see the developers behind Eternal Sonata, which is Trusty Bell. I think that's what they were called, right?
That
Maybe.
was the name of the Japanese version.
I know, but I think they had a name similar to their name.
All right.
I want to see them do something more than I know they have one other like Wii project or some garbage.
Oh, the champagne's
wanna-
gone to his
But I thought it
head,
was supposed to be
boss.
a
no,
Sony thing.
fine. What?
I thought it was supposed to be a Sony studio.
No, I just really wanted to see them
Oh,
do
you put
something.
that-
Champagne's in his head.
Sam,
If
what
I
do you
had to-
got?
If I had to choose something, I'd also
You know
choose
what?
Naughty
I'm
Dog.
going back to what
It's
I was what I did a couple weeks ago with that feature. Just what if? I would have the Warhawk team do a space MMO.
That's not bad.
I think it'd be awesome.
Kind of like EVE Online, but different.
Exactly like
Yeah.
that.
There it
exactly.
is.
Nice.
And
But
that's
with like full ground level all the way out to
All
the
up to
planet.
space.
Yeah, you could travel the entire way.
It's called Space Hawk, and it's
No!
happening already.
Starhawk!
Starhawk.
Yeah,
That was
it better be
Space
happening.
Hawk sounds
But I
better.
want it to be an MMO though, so you can have like a full player-driven economy, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I think it'd be awesome.
Jeff, what do you got?
I think maybe again take Santa Monica, but maybe do something like Apocalypse Now or Platoon. Like I want something really gritty, but a nice gritty war shooter that just seemed like it was like so realistic and so visceral that people were just like, "Oh my god!"
And
This
they
is
started throwing
Yeah,
up everywhere.
we haven't seen a lot of gritty war shooters out there. I love you. I'm just kidding.
my god.
I'm just kidding.
Wait a second. Ryan actually came up with a nice strike.
Crazy.
My god,
I'm fine.
shocked.
I have a tenth of a glass of champagne. I think I'm
Yeah,
okay.
he's loaded.
It's all gone to your head. All right, how about you though, man? What would you want to see?
Tell us.
If I had to just take a guess, I'll say Incognito making an Armored Core-like game.
Ooh, that's pretty
Hey,
good.
that's a great one, man.
Good call.
You just won. You just won life.
All right, cool. Thanks a lot for being on the show, man.
Thanks for listening, dude.
Beyond. Bye.
Yep.
All right, let's give a call out to Hughes81.
You better be there, answering your phone. You could do it. Are you there? Hello,
Mr. Hughes.
Beyond.
Hello?
Beyond.
Beyond.
Yeah. Finally.
Hughes81, what's up, man? How you doing?
Much, how are you?
Good. What is your question?
My question is, Greg just recently wrote about the infamous addition to Home.
Yeah.
But what do you think it's going to take to get you guys to sign into Home every day? What would you like to see happen to it?
That's a good question.
Every day is tough.
Maybe like once
I'm
a
going to turn
week,
to
maybe.
Sam on
Yeah,
this
you
one.
will not be able to get Jeff into Home every day. I
Never.
can tell you that much.
You know what it would take? It would be something that Sony could never ever do, which would be like a home like Playboy mansion. That would never happen.
I tell you, for me, what it would take is number one, it had to be load way faster, so it's almost instantaneous. And number two is you would need like a really cool kind of like personal lobby setup where you could go and see your friends list from there, where I could see people's trophies, I could see what they're playing, I could see, maybe you had like a little wish list of games you want to play coming out or what you're playing right now, where you are in the game. It'd be kind of like an expanded version of your friends list. But again, it's got to load instantly. It takes so long to get in there now that if you want to just do something super fast, then I'm not going to click on it and sit there for a minute and a half and then look at somebody's
and every
trophy
time
count.
they add something new, you have to reload the instance.
Yeah.
So it's
The only
all of a
way,
sudden all
the only way
over
I can
again.
see it, me ever doing it, would be as if it replaced the XMB altogether. And when I turned on my PS3, it instantly loaded into it. So I started from there, and I pulled up my device and went to game, or I went to this, and yada. Otherwise,
But you know what? Like, not everybody's going to want that. I mean,
Oh,
like,
yeah,
that's
Because
part of
it
the
could
problem.
get in the way.
I'd be down with it if it was if they had something akin to clans but not that competitive.
Yeah.
Where you just logged into like a main lobby space that had all your combined accomplishments, all your achievements, or trophies or whatever. I know
You don't even
exactly.
know. You don't
That's right.
even
I'm not
know.
even using the right
Get outta
terminology.
here.
I
That's
don't care. Something like that, where you could where there's a nice little visual representation of all the people that you have on your friends list. If they're in Home, they're automatically there instead of just being in a random lobby. Stuff like that. I want to see the freaking trophy room. That's what I want. That's what I want more than anything else.
That and
If that was
actually,
there, then I might be checking it out more often.
actually, to not be snarky about the entire thing, I think that jeez. Not like it's not in my character. The thing that I think would really wind up getting people into it would be if they went at it from a development perspective and went, this is exactly the functionality that we are going to implement within Home that has to tie into the gameplay. So if it's one of those things where you're playing a sports game, automatically as you're doing like a dynasty, that's where you start getting a lot more of the interactivity between players. So like not only are you setting up leagues and conferences and everything else, but doing that winds up giving you extra like points or dollars or something so that you can augment your program or do something else. Like something has to be actually implemented so that there's a reason to go there for a game.
Would you get into it if it was like a lobby for a game? So you basically would start up the game, and it would be connected to Home, and then you'd be able to
No, because that's 2 steps removed. Because you get into a lobby there, and then once you get into the game, you're in the second lobby
you could bypass
just to
it if
do
you
it.
wanted to.
Well,
but there'd be a front end that was sort of connected to Home, and then also connected to the game at the same time.
Yeah, but a lot of times those companies wind up setting up servers so that they can have the server load on their side, so they can count that. So then all of a sudden you have the server load in Home, and then the server load for the company.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Ryan, what's your take on this? You're one of the biggest proponents of Home here.
Yes,
My take is just that if Home just became the Matrix, like if
it.
the entire thing was just everybody was
Would you
there,
have to actually
and then
plug it
suddenly
into the
an
back of your
agent
neck?
like Roper's just like, and then an agent appears, and then the agent starts like just capping people in the place, and they're like, we just wanted to buy small potted plants, and something like
And
that.
bubble machines.
Okay, I got it.
If you said at some point in Home and the agent's gonna appeir, I'd be like, I will play for
Okay,
400 hours.
if they made it like the idea of like the metaverse that are in some of like William Gibson's novels, where everybody can, if they have enough skill, hack in and make their own stuff.
Yes.
Build their own place, build their freaking super bike that goes 9 million
So
miles an
Second
hour.
Life.
And exists.
Exactly, but cooler.
But good.
Yeah, but not crappy.
Less raunchy
Yeah,
elements.
less filled with furries and stuff like that. So, yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah, well. Sorry.
So there's your Home answer.
Yeah. All right, Hughes. Thanks a lot for your question.
Thanks, buddy.
Beyond.
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 Beyond. All right, and now it is time to give our board reader with the dirtiest name,
It's
Frog
not
Splash
dirty.
45 a call.
We argued about this since the first time he wrote in. It is a wrestling move. It's legitimate.
I see.
So to summarize, not dirty.
We'll see. We'll see what he says.
Are we gonna ask him?
We'll ask him about it.
Before we get to your question.
This
Okay.
phone call decides the future.
Uh-oh.
If he answers,
He'll be there. I have faith. I have faith.
use the force.
Hello?
Beyond!
You gotta be kidding me.
Hey, is this Frog Splash?
This is Frog Splash.
Frog Splash, man.
How you doing?
You're on Podcast Beyond.
Splash it.
What's going on, guys?
All right, before we get to your question, you need to settle once and for all what your name means. I say it's a wrestling move. Roper says it's dirty. What is it?
It's a little bit of both.
There you go. Right. Everyone wins.
All right.
Answer.
Adhering to the best Beyond guidelines you know, explain to me how it would be dirty.
Just a second. I can't hear that.
Explain to me how it's a little bit dirty.
I don't know. Move on.
All right, good enough. Good enough.
He's a politician, this guy.
What question do you have for us, sir?
Well, I wrote in my email, so I guess I'll ask that one. Do you think, which developer do you think can do the best job with the PlayStation motion controller?
Ooh,
And what should they call it besides just PS3 motion? Because that sounds stupid.
Yeah.
We agree on that part, yeah.
Yeah. I think for best use, that's a tricky one, man.
Kojima Productions.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad
Yeah.
one.
Yeah,
You
it's
know
not
what?
at all.
It's not a Sony first party thing, but I mean, it's a development
You
house.
just said
Yeah.
developer, right?
Okay, yeah.
I guess Squeenix. How awesome would it be for like a Final Fantasy to actually have the motion be whatever it is that you're doing for a specific attack? So,
But like, if it's an RPG, you'd be doing that like 8 million times.
Oh my god, my arm is so tired.
but that's the thing though, is that like depending upon whatever it is, you're only doing it for specific things like summons or very specific items. You're not doing it for the whole damn thing.
But I would,
That would be
I would want it
retarded.
to be something where it wasn't just waggle, it wasn't just motions. It was something that actually
Waggle.
embraced the whole idea of using 3D space,
Manipulating space.
Yeah, like that's why. Why do I keep going back to that stupid topic? I really liked it.
No, I actually, I got a good answer here. Q games. I think they're.
Good call.
I think they could make something that was very simple, but also very, it would use the full range of motion. You maybe make a puzzle game where you're actually like interacting with blocks you're moving around or something, or I don't know. They would take it like crazy. I think
that game company has done an awful good job with motion control too.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. And that game
That's
company.
a really good point.
You know what?
I would say EA, and I would call it a bunch of bullcrap you don't need. Don't control it. It only appeals to retarded people. Here's a workout game. Strap one to your leg and put the other on your wrist. There you go. Merry Christmas, Mom.
So what would we call it?
I would call it. The
Waggle-rific.
BS crap machine.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a good name for it.
I don't either. That sucks.
The only other house that I would even think might be like the people working on Katamari, because that could possibly be.
But
a little
Keita
bit.
Takahashi's like totally done with that series. Like
Yeah,
if he
it
got
is.
into it, that would be awesome.
Yeah, he is, but you can always bring him back.
I would call it something badass and completely unrelated, like the Luminary,
Or the
something
badass
like
stick.
that.
The badass stick.
Badass stick.
Or the,
Pimp stick?
or the boomstick.
The boomstick's not a bad idea.
Let it glow stick.
All right.
Frog Splash, what would you have? What studio would you have do it?
I really don't know.
Oh. You just take a wild guess.
Sorry.
Who's your
it's
Who's
all
your
right.
favorite?
I would have who developed Haze. Let's have them do it. They can do a pretty good job.
Wait, who? Which
Haze, the developer of
Haze.
Haze.
Free
Free
Radical.
Radical.
Yeah.
They're kind of
Free
gone now.
Radical.
Yeah.
We think,
Frog Splash,
I don't
you
think they're
throw
anymore.
Free Radical
They're
back?
part of Crytek now. So
What are
maybe-
you
Yeah.
doing?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, they're
Yeah.
still.
I just wasn't expecting the call.
No,
We have shocked Frog Splash.
you
Time
handled it
Splitters
well,
4
sir.
with motion control. You heard it from Frog Splash first.
There you go. All right, thanks a lot for your question, man.
Thanks, dude. Thanks
All
for
right,
listening to the show.
Thanks, guys.
All right,
Yawn.
All right, it's time for our next call-in. We're, I believe he's going to ask us a question about previously established or new IPs, but we will find out. We're going to call up Black Mantle.
Black Mantle.
He sounds like a superhero.
Yes.
Obviously, yes, fitting into small spaces.
Ooh.
Like Santa Claus.
Between spaces.
Between spaces.
Beyond!
Hello?
Beyond!
Hello?
Beyond.
Are you there?
Beyond? Oh, is this Beyond?
Beyond!
What's up, Black Mantle?
What's up?
How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing good.
Awesome.
Very good.
Thank you for joining us on Podcast Beyond episode 100.
I'm sorry. I was just playing a game of Call of Duty.
Ooh,
Very
nice.
You tell those guys to go to hell. You are now part of the future.
Are you playing 4 or World at War?
World at War.
Shoot them zombies!
Oh.
Good.
Rocking the new map pack.
Yep.
Hey, what does your
That
name
pack's
mean?
coming out next month.
No, we don't need the news. Shut up. What does your name mean? Black Mantle. What's that all about, huh? How did you choose your name?
Hello, sir.
Black Mantle. Black Mantle.
Greg wants to know how you chose your name. What does your name mean?
My name, I just, I don't know what to pick. I was just thinking, I was like, I kind of had the haze thing going on at the time. I was like, Mantle seems like a good thing. But then I actually picked it because I was thinking Black Mantle, like a mantle piece.
Like over a
a
fireplace.
mantle you put.
Yeah.
Like over a fireplace. I thought that might be a cool name.
You are the second reference to Haze in a row. Our last
This is
last
amazing.
What is
caller
going
mentioned Haze
on?
also.
What is happening?
That is incredible.
What the hell?
Maybe that game is more
4-5.
popular than people thought.
Also, Black Mantle, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, the call beforehand, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but after we went off the air, I came up with a better name. Two-handed erection.
Yeah. see if you can guess what that is a name for. Let's get on to your question. What do you have for us today?
My question, let me try to find this, because this is, I write these questions down, and then I don't know where I put these.
I believe that your question was something about previously established or new IPs.
Right.
Does that ring a bell?
My question, basically, how you have established franchises from previous generations, like God of War coming to the PlayStation 3,
Right.
Gran Turismo, all these established IPs coming now and making the bulk of the PlayStation 3. But now we have these, these new IPs coming, like Little Big Planet, Lost Guardian,
Infamous.
all the. And what I wanted to know is about whether you think what do you think of the strength of the PlayStation 3 is now? Like, is it these previous IPs, or is it these new IPs that are making the PlayStation 3 better? Or
that's a good question.
Yeah, that is a good question.
I think from a commercial standpoint, it's always going to be older IPs, something people connect with, and that's what the PS3's had such a hard time trying to get an install base going, is because it came out with, here's God of War 3, blah, blah, blah. So you have awesome games like Uncharted, but you need early adopters to get that ball rolling to say, this is awesome, and blah, blah, blah. And now everyone's excited for Uncharted 2.
So that's kind of a double-bladed thing, is if you can have a sequel on the same platform, on the PS3, then, like you're saying, you have Uncharted 2, and like I mentioned earlier, a lot of people in the office here are buying a PS3 that don't have one yet for Uncharted 2. So you get it comes out first, people say it's great, but you're like, well, I don't have a system, I'm not going to play it. Then when the second one comes out, it seems like a must-have. And you got to remember, though, that any IP has to start somewhere. So if you start it now, say with Uncharted or Infamous or Little Big Planet, and then say sequels are coming out on the PS4, now those are now established IPs. So I think for me, a good mix of the two of them is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, agreed.
So I want Gran Turismo 5, I want God of War 3, I want stuff like that, but I also want the new franchise like Little Big Planet, Infamous. All of those are great games. So
But that's the thing is that a large amount of the PS3, in some ways, they've been capitalizing so much on new IP as opposed to actually going into the closet and pulling out a lot of the proven ones that worked really well on the original PlayStation, the PS2, which I think is probably one of the reasons. Excuse me. One of the reasons why the RPG front has been really, really lacking, because there were so many RPGs on the PS2, and all the ones that are coming out are pretty much like new IP, with the exception of like one or two, and they're going like, where was this? This was one of the things that you were built on. Now you're kind of striking out completely new territory.
The interesting thing is if you look back at a lot of the studios that made a lot of the bigger games for the games on PS2, let's say. So God of War is still in production, hasn't come out yet. and Gran Turismo is still in production, it hasn't come out yet. And then you have studios like Naughty Dog and Insomniac were making new IPs on the PS3, and so they didn't have any sort of precedent for what they were for people kind of on the outside of it. So, all of these games that we're mentioning have turned out to be great, and Uncharted 2, obviously, it looks like it's one of the better games this year. We're all excited for it. Insomniac's done great things, and we're all excited for God of War and Great Tuesday and stuff like that. But up till now, there hasn't been those kind of returning franchises to get old PS2 fans to jump back in of yet. They're looking at it and say, when is God of War coming out?
Well, that or Jack. I mean, everybody's like, where is Jack?
I do
Where's
kinda,
Daxter? What's going on?
I like that, though. I like that they intentionally try to foster new IP, and then we'll go back and pick up stuff later on. Look how good Warhawk turned out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that was a two-generation difference, but it turned out to be awesome.
Yeah.
And it was only the multiplayer. It didn't even have single player. So,
What about you, Black Mantle? What do you like better, new IPs or old trusted franchises?
I like them both. They're, both a good combination of, I love Final Fantasy. Looking forward to Final Fantasy 15. Looking forward to Last Guardian. Want to get more of that, artsy story, that world, the very rich, developed world, and the characters.
Yeah, dude.
It's hard to pick between the two, but I think
you don't have to.
There is an overshadowing of
succeed.
Old IPs versus the new ones.
Yeah,
it's all about balance.
Yep, it is.
He's looking at it
kind
as
of
the peanut butter and
kind
the
of a problem, but it's also kind of a good thing.
Yeah, totally. Hey, Black Mantle, another good response to the question before yours would have been all one word. P.S. Boner Jams. You do it with a Z, so it's plural, but then it's also edgy.
There you go.
It all makes sense when you listen to the podcast later, Black Mantle. Don't worry.
All right, man. Thanks a lot for your question.
Thanks for joining us, dude.
Thank you guys.
Beyond. All right, now it is time to call up Bredesen. Here's the question: man or woman?
Hey, this is Kevin. Sorry.
Oh, no.
That answers the question right there.
I'll try to get back to you.
We're totally leaving a message.
Leave your name and number. Bye.
Wait for the beep.
To page this person, press now. At the
went
tone,
straight to voicemail,
please
too.
record your message. When you have finished it,
If I ever met this woman
hang
talking,
up.
You're about to get
Press
it.
1 for more options.
Well played, Bredesen. The biggest opportunity of your worthless life. You just let it go through your fingers like sand through the hourglass.
Vampire Strike!
Beyond. Oh, well.
Kevin, huh? That's not a Bredesen name at all.
No.
It's not Brett.
I thought female door cool.
Wait, so we haven't called him before yet, right?
No, but that was it. And that was his opportunity.
Yep.
All right.
Bredesen, we appreciate your emails, but you should have been there to answer your phone. All right, now it is time to call up Beesball. I don't know what he's going to ask. We'll find out.
It's so real.
Sammy Sosa's is dumb.
Let's take a guess at the question. I think PS3 Slim.
I think he's going to come. I'll say PSP Go.
All right.
I was going to say PSP Go too.
All right.
Oh,
Double-handed erection.
All right.
General Beyonding.
Still Dominus. It's still Domitron.
It's so real.
Oh, video. I miss you.
These dial tones are the best part.
Beyond?
You broke the streak, man. You broke the streak.
I already looked up your area code because if I didn't know your area code, I'd answer it as my business.
Oh, there you go.
You psycho.
You don't want to sell us anything? We got money.
No, well, unless you want home care. Are you a senior adult?
No, that's okay.
I guess not.
Don't worry about it then.
All right, man.
Who's there?
Everybody's in the room, including Jeff.
Yeah.
Oh, Jeff. What's up, man?
I'm hanging out. How about you go?
You're the only reason I listen to the, what's it called?
well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
If I want to hear any, impressions from Ocampo, I just listen to TRL.
Oh, man. Those are a classic. I have some recorded, but he would kill me if I upload them to YouTube.
Yeah, that would work.
But, yeah. All right, man, what's your question for us?
Well, I had a couple questions because I just picked up Prologue because I have to play that game. I have an addiction I got to feed.
Good man.
Nice.
My question is, do you drive with the D-pad or the control stick?
Analog stick all the way. And if I have a wheel, I drive with the wheel. But I don't use the D-pad, though.
I roll
I have to use the D-pad.
No,
and second question is, can I get a promise from you guys that you will do an editor beatdown with Gran Turismo?
I absolutely will. 100%.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to park the car in the middle of the track and turn it sideways. That's what I do in racing games
That would be
online.
great. Yeah. I'd hop in.
Yeah, but when that game comes out, I'm definitely getting on there.
Oh, and by the way, for Greg.
That's me.
Yeah, that is you. Ozzy, the gamer, you know him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he said he's doing a rant on you on the blogs today. So.
I'm looking for it.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
It should be pointed out, Beesball is a big IGN blogger.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should probably go, defend yourself.
Oh, whatever.
I'm
He's
partly a
like
friend.
the buzzing of flies to me.
I'm just plugging Fozzie's blog. I got to. I'm a friend.
All right, beat him.
Anyway.
Very good,
That's
man.
about it.
All right, thanks for being on episode 100, dude.
Beyond. Take care, buddy.
Beyond.
All right, now it is time to call up, as per Ryan's request, Skater Alchemist.
Roper, I'm getting hot.
He or she
You're getting hot.
skates and mixes potions. He
As
or
long as
she
they're there.
is a skating alchemist.
It's pretty good.
As long as they're there. If they're not.
Maybe he or she will take over the world.
With skating?
Their mix of skating and alchemy.
Seems unlikely.
Yes. Sounds like the wheels have fallen off the board.
Uh-oh.
The Bunsen burner is blown up.
Oh, good.
Believe it or not, Mikey isn't home.
Oh, my God.
What is this?
Dude, he stole your message.
By
Which you stole
I
from
pick
George.
up the iPhone.
Well, the question is, have I ever done my...
This
I don't know if I
going
ever
on?
recorded.
I'm not home.
What's going on?
It's
This
not
is
the phone. It's
crappy.
what he's doing.
What the hell?
I'm flabbergasted. This is Greg Miller from
That is
Podcast Beyond.
theft. Beyond.
Did you steal that from me, or did you and I just have the exact same voicemail?
Which you both stole from Seinfeld.
Yeah,
it was a
obviously.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Dear
Whatever.
God.
Throw it
Anyway.
away. Do you sing yours at karaoke too? I didn't think so. Punk, Skater Alchemist, my ass.
Beyond.
I thought I trusted in you.
That's going to be an interesting message when he gets home later.
What was that?
He's like, what do I do? He probably recorded that like 3 years ago and doesn't remember what his answer machine
Probably.
message is anymore. Greg, since we just heard that guy's
Yeah.
voicemail, it's the same as yours.
I'm going to give you the real deal. This is how it's supposed to sound.
Believe it or not, Greg isn't at home. Please leave a message at the beep.
You can course
I
yourself
must
now.
be out, or I'd pick up the phone. Where could I be?
See, there's no skipping in here.
Believe it or not, I'm not home.
See,
There you
that's
go.
how you play. Don't
There it
fool.
is.
Yeah,
Is that the jam?
That's my jam.
For real, son.
Maybe it's something we just missed. Let's find out who it
Let's
is.
see.
Beyond!
Beyond.
Beyond. What's up, guys?
Beyond.
Who is this?
Who is this?
This is Jester Aaron.
Nice. Very good.
He pulled a Tyler Durden on us.
Oh, there you go. How are you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you doing?
We're doing pretty good. What is your question for us?
Well, I've noticed that lately we've been seeing a lot of unique information that you would pick up on. Sorry, I'm totally bombing here.
The fact that you tried to recognize it makes it better. So
Breathe
it's
it out,
good.
It's
man.
just
Breathe
like
it out.
Clement's first 15 episodes.
Yeah, see, like I've listened to every single episode, so now I'm getting all nervous.
Nah, don't be nervous.
Anyways.
It's all good, dude.
Okay, so the bottom line is, you know how you can pre-order a game, and it seems like we're seeing when you get a game from GameStop or you get a game from Amazon, there's unique downloadable content that you can get from different retailers. So I want to know what your guys' opinion was of that, if you saw problems with that or if you like it, because I'm seeing some different, conflicting information conflicting opinions from people on the boards.
So here's my take on that. If you get a skin for something, then I'm okay with it. If you get like a large amount of brand new content, like you'd get like levels and stuff for Little Big Planet, like the God of War thing or whatever. That one I'm not so cool with, and I hate it when it gives you something for multiplayer.
Yes.
If it unlocks something for you immediately or whatever, that means on day one you're killing people that have to earn it by playing for 20 or 30 hours.
It's
I
ridiculous.
hate that. If it's a skin, then whatever. It's just like a little thing to go get. I would prefer that you would get like a the music CD or a T-shirt or something.
Yeah,
I like
absolutely.
I like those extra things that aren't packaged part of the game itself that you get.
Right.
Yeah, definitely something that winds up unbalancing the game winds up sucking. But I think that there's also a point at which, like, it's pretty obvious that a certain amount of the exclusive pre-orders are primarily for the business partners
Yeah, 100%.
to make the money so that there's extra money going into the system. But I also think that based on what some of these things are, they are starting to approach the scale of just complete and utter, like, insanity. I mean,
and it's getting worse and worse.
yeah, I mean, I'm expecting like Fallout, like New Vegas, to have like a tac nuke, like a portable like missile launcher or something.
That'd be
like
awesome.
Because like with the night vision goggles and everything else, it's like how many things can you throw in for an additional 10, 20, 30, 50, $100 just as an exclusive with like GameStop or Best Buy?
Yeah. I don't know, Greg. What's your take on it?
Meh.
Nah.
I
okay.
don't think there's been one that breaks it yet. You know what I mean? And I don't like it a lot. I mean, I would like to have used Giga Blades and Infamous and not had to have pre-ordered it from GameStop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Also-
Most of the time it's costumes.
I really like getting art books and music CDs. Those are my two favorite things to get with a game.
Those are fine though, because that's like a special present for you. It doesn't
Exactly,
wind
and that's what I mean.
destroying everything
Yeah,
else.
as long as it's not in the game. What about you, man? Tell us what you think about this situation.
Well, I agree. I mean, it's fun to get little things like, the gigawatt blades with Infamous, like you guys mentioned, and as far as like the night vision goggles, the way I look at it is if somebody really wants to spend that extra money to get it, hey, that's cool. Me personally, I wouldn't spend that money to get it. If I really want night vision goggles, I'm gonna research it and find a nice pair that I want. Not gonna get the canned one that comes with the game. But I agree. I think if someone's going to get like a bonus that's going to totally give them some awesome weapon at the very beginning of multiplayer just comes out, and they're pawning everybody, that's not really fair. I don't really like that. I think it kind of takes away from the gameplay value for other people, and it seems like just a push towards. I mean, I'm all for capitalism. I understand their business; they're trying to make money.
Yeah,
Sure, what I mean? You are red.
You commies are all
I'm just saying.
All right, awesome.
I'm just saying, so.
Well said. I think you more than made up for the fact that you were nervous at the beginning.
Preach on, preacher.
Well done.
Well, yeah, it was great hearing from you guys.
All right, thanks a lot for being on episode 100, dude.
Take care, buddy.
Beyond.
All right, so that was pretty cool. We're glad we got to talk to some of you guys, and some pretty good questions in there.
Not too shabby.
Better than I thought it was going to go.
I like how the environment is celebrating that this is Podcast Beyond number 100 by making it 100 degrees in the room.
Yes, exactly. It is. The room gods know what's happening here.
Soleus is not working.
I think that's a nice thing that it's done for us.
Now, Greg.
Yeah.
Earlier, at some point, I forget if it's on the show or not.
It is.
You mentioned that you had a special PlayStation Network hit of the week.
We got all sorts of stuff to talk about.
PSN hit of the week.
PSN hit of the week is going to be a very special person near and dear to my heart. Folks will remember a couple blog posts on my blog ago. I called people out and said, hey, I need SingStar trophies, so come help this. I also dropped in a PS saying, hey, you guys send me a lot of worthless crap a lot, which I appreciate. You don't have to do. But if you ever want to send me something cool, send me SingStar mics. Wireless from UK.
Yeah.
A UK reader really sent me wireless SingStar mics.
Yeah.
And they
so
are
now
in
my
fact
parties will pop off and be crazy from now on.
Pop off until they knock on your door. And
His only request was that, one, I post a video of me singing in a British accent, which I will gladly do.
Oh, snap.
And two, that he be hit of the week. So Kid-A-UK is hit of the week.
Kid, UK. PSN it confirmed.
KID-U.
Good man. That was awesome.
KID-A-UK.
There you go. And you said you had something else to mention?
Editor Beatdown.
Yes.
That Princess is finally out on Thursday.
Yes.
I will be playing it pretty much nonstop Thursday, probably all Friday, and then I would imagine I'm posting my review on Monday. So look for me all this week playing it. I'll have impressions up on Thursday telling you how it's shaping up for the future few hours of playing it, but definitely I want to get all the way in. Have the full multiplayer experience. Editor Beatdown, look for Game Over Greggy on at all times. If I make a room or something like that, I'll post that information, but basically I'll be playing nonstop, so look for me.
There you go.
Yes. Word.
Ryan, you're cradling your mic
Obviously,
like
that shape
a little
would be
child.
big, fat, and round.
Like a wee baby.
Fat princess.
Yeah.
So that brings us, I think, to the end of the show, unless anybody has
snap.
anything else to add here for number 100.
Just like episode 50,
Yeah,
I think we should thank everybody.
I think we should just start all over again.
All right.
Okay.
Here, I'll delete.
What the hell?
Delete. I think that was a good rehearsal, everybody.
Hey.
I thought you meant just delete the past 2 years of history and go back to episode 1.
Do the opposite of TRL at 50.
Hey, if we're gonna do, if this is the 100th episode, you guys have to at least throw out your favorite memory of those things going so far, right?
Of the podcast?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah,
No
that's
personal.
for sure.
That's pretty good.
That's easy.
We can make it.
That's easy.
Snappy.
All right, Jeff.
David Hayter calling in.
Yeah,
That was pretty awesome.
That
was
the man.
amazing.
And the fact that he managed to record a freaking voice message
Yep.
for everybody
Yeah.
just pulled out.
That was in the best of?
That was excellent.
Yeah.
That was excellent.
I'm gonna
And
have to
it
agree
was
with that
easy.
one.
Like just contacting him, he was great to work with. I mean,
And it was
Yeah.
a long,
the man.
interview too.
No,
Yeah,
it was
there was
good.
a lot of
Yeah.
questions.
He was very
Awesome.
generous with that interview.
Good
Yeah.
man.
And I remember, I think that we tried to keep his time short, and we're like, okay, we don't want to keep you. And he's like,
Yeah.
no,
No,
please.
he's like,
I
yeah.
want to keep talking to you guys. We're like, all right.
I mean,
Cool.
that was the thing.
Two memories stick out for me. One is when Dylan Job came on the show and
Yeah.
was our guest analyst for the entire show, and I thought he did a great job.
Yep.
That was one of my favorite episodes of
And
any.
played along with the whole Beyond thing.
He
Got
did.
into it totally.
It was one of my favorite episodes of any podcast we've done for anything. And then the other one was the first year the podcast Beyond was in existence. We did the pre-E3 show where we all sat around.
Oh, God.
And in our Culver City office the day before the
Oh,
show,
yeah.
and we predicted what was going to happen, and everything we said was going to happen happened.
Yes.
And that to me, I think, solidified the fact that we have a
not
not so,
completely
not,
retarded.
not so bad podcast going on
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
Absolutely.
Okay, I lied. There's three, and the other one is the very first episode where we sat down and we recorded that first episode. I don't know. At that time, the only other podcast that was going on IGN was Game Scoop, and then occasionally they had the Nintendo podcast going on.
AFK too.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
AFK was
AFK
just
was free floating.
here and there. That wasn't even
We still
frequent.
don't really even have it. It's kind of like it floats
It's gone
in,
away.
it floats
Yeah.
out.
No,
Yeah.
AFK went away. Yeah, that's done for
AFK
sure.
went away for sure, but just having that and actually reaching out to the PlayStation audience, I remember our first flood of emails and the board reaction to it. Everyone is so happy that someone is actually going out there and talking about the PlayStation, especially at that time when, remember, if you go way back to the beginning of the first episode, that was the time when PS3 was getting its ass trounced
Yeah.
by...
Well, yeah, the first 25 episodes are all still.
Yeah.
I don't know why anybody would buy this.
Yeah. It was, and so it was a really cool memory for me to say, hey, the readers are out there and they like what we're doing, and we were glad to do it for them. So
Yeah, and that ties in exactly what Greg was saying. Like, there's a huge amount of thanks have to go out to all listeners for listening to the show.
Absolutely.
Contributing in all the various ways, sending in questions, contributing with episode 99, sending in phone numbers, being on the show today, just all that kind of stuff, showing your support. I'm happy to come in here every week and sit down and record the show because I know that people are going to listen to it and that they're going to enjoy what it is and that they're looking forward to to listening to the show that we're about to record, and that makes it much easier for me to do this sort of thing when I know that people are going to enjoy it and people are looking forward to it. So, thank you to everybody who's been listening so far because you guys are the reason that we do this whole thing. And, like Jeremy said, I remember when we came in to do episode 1, there was the idea, hey, we should do channel-specific podcasts. And with Game Scoop, it was a little bit easier because you could talk about anything. With the channel-specific stuff, we're like, well, I don't really know what we'll talk about, but we'll go in there and we'll try to put a show together and we'll see what happens. And then, it kind of changed a little bit over time, but not really all that much. Like, we've stayed pretty consistent in the layout of the show and things that happen. And,
the only difference is that as time's gone on, we've just added more, there's been
more
catchphrases and minor segments. I mean, from Beyond to Vampire Striking to, all these other things. I mean,
Charles' wife.
Yeah, God. Yeah, I mean, we've a certain amount of it has been continuity, but especially as you can tell by the song, the song has been kind of the running thread in many ways.
Yeah. So again, everybody, thank you for listening to the show.
And go back and listen to that first episode, and you'll hear many firsts.
Yeah.
What was
and it'll be very familiar too, because a lot of the same things that we do now we did then.
Yeah.
What do you want to know, Sam?
Oh, just what was going through you guys' head when you first sat down to do this?
This is the dumbest idea ever.
Okay, there you go.
This is not going to last 5 episodes.
We're
really?
They're going
Really?
oh my God.
We talked about that in 50. Yeah, I remember distinctly thinking this is something that'll burn out. We're going to get too busy to do this.
Well, yeah, that was
and if
the
you
thing,
look,
is
not to knock any other channel, if you look at other channels, they don't have the episode count we do.
Yeah.
We've always been real good about no matter what on at
Do the
time
show.
Monday, now Thursday, you drop everything to do that.
Yeah, 'cause
now it's ingrained in your head. You're going to do it.
Back then, we were like, God, we have to do this, and we have an hour-long show. Plus, if we get into the heavy time during the fall, how are we going to squeeze out time to do that and all the reviews and everything?
It was
else?
also on Mondays in the beginning, so that was
That's a bad day to do
our
anything.
beginning.
Yeah,
our
just
beginning of
trying
the week where we had meetings
Yeah,
and
exactly.
we had to get an
Exactly.
idea of what was
Catching
going
back
on,
up,
and
yeah.
we couldn't break any news because the week
Yeah,
the
there
week
was
just
no
started.
news to break.
Yeah. we're catching up on things that had happened before.
So
We're
here's
like, this
what
is
you missed
old.
since last week. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I gotta say, like, I'm really glad you guys let me come on this because I really do look forward to this every week.
Oh, yeah.
It's like it's an hour out of the day that I just have a good time. By the time we walk out of here, it's usually about 9 million degrees warmer than we walk in. But I always walk out with a smile on my face. It's always a good time.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, though.
Well,
Like,
I think it comes through, though. It's the reason why people are digging this stuff.
that's the thing. Like, even though I'm on prompt now, like there's definitely something to be said about like the entire Beyond vibe. It's special.
Good people.
It's one of those things that like you really can't recreate or try to because it doesn't have the same spirit or the same kind of like it's not the same. You can't recreate.
I agree. It just sounds like we're going to be a steakhouse commercial now. Good spirit, good times. Beyond.
Yeah, let's make that a new slogan.
Settle into a giant 16-ounce flame broiled Beyond.
So,
Great baked
here's-
potato and cheese and
Come
bacon.
in now for the special Clement Sizzler.
Here's one thing I want to know is we discussed when we were leading up to episode 100 some of the things that we're going to do for the next 100 episodes. So I was curious if you were ready to tell any listeners some of your plans for the next 100 episodes.
Or
things-
changing?
Yeah, some of the changes you guys are making and some of the things you plan on doing.
Well, fine. I don't get to give any memories or anything. Whatever. Go.
Yeah.
Go ahead, do your memories then.
No, it's too late now.
Well, I mean, I think as always,
He's already jaded.
No, look at that. There's the lip. No. Come on.
It's over.
So,
Hug it out.
So to explain things, we have some ideas
Hug it
about
out, bitch.
things that we want to kind of change or whatever, and basically, make it. It won't be a revolutionary new show, but change some things, kind of adapt it to
Shake it up.
After going on for 100 episodes, it's not going to be a different show. It's
The
gonna be the
first
same show.
5 seconds
But-
will blow your head
yeah.
out your ass.
So I don't want to say that all these things are going to drastically change or whatever, because I would like to kind of slowly roll them out and kind of feel them out and see how it goes, because it's a show for the readers or whatever. So I don't want to come in here and say we are going to change this thing and then it doesn't work and then whatever. So, but we are, to your point, we are looking to, we did this I don't know, a couple months ago. We said, hey, write in, tell us, things you'd like to change about the show or whatever. Yeah. And we took all those things to heart. And so we will be,
Well, Ryan and I need to give out ours right away because we need their help for episode 101.
What's that?
The new idea is that Ryan and I are sick of carrying the songs on our shoulders every week. So the plan is that from now on, we won't be singing every week. What we're asking you to do is submit a song of your own accord.
That is an awesome
of
idea.
you singing Beyond. You've listened to the show. You remember you just insert Beyond into a chorus or however, or take an existing song or make an original one. We don't care.
Or if you have a band and you want to send in a
Inform it to
sample
be
of your
us.
band.
Yeah, totally. And you send us the MP3 and we'll put it in there. And Ryan and I will still sing every now and again when we feel like it. We're going to have competitions. I mean, as far as like, hey, next week we want to hear Michael Jackson, so send in a Beyond Michael Jackson song kind of thing. Don't do that next week. Do whatever you want next week. But
I would.
Beyond at IGN.com.
I would like to announce, this is something Chris and I have been talking about, getting the show for a while for episode 100. But in that same vein, I haven't even told Chris I was going to do this yet. So
Oh, snap.
he's about to be surprised.
Sorry, the show is canceled.
We figured it'd be ended on a nice round number.
Hanger.
It's on the
With that
PlayStation.
said, you guys are out of here.
Yeah, that's right. No, well, we've been talking. Chris and I have been talking for a while about to celebrate the 100th episode that we'd have perhaps a new intro, a new theme song. So we don't currently have a new theme song.
Right.
It has not been written. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to announce/beg for our listeners to create a brand new Podcast Beyond opening theme song.
How long should it be?
It needs to be about 25 to 30 seconds. Easily editable, so that we can
Fade in and fade out.
fade in and fade out exactly. And what we'd like to do is we want to have as many submissions as possible in the next month, so that by Podcast Beyond episode 105 we can debut the new theme song.
Okay. Damon is also doing stuff for that too.
He is.
Just to warn
And
you.
he's a
He is.
ass reader.
I've already been talking to him a little bit about this. He is, and he actually did our original song.
Oh, he did.
Yep.
It is awesome. I have to admit, like he did a really good job.
I don't want that to go away. I don't think any of the listeners do either. But there's other ways to incorporate it. You know?
sure.
Yeah.
So what I would like.
a new Roper Report jingle.
So there you go.
No more time for
Oh
some
my
news.
gosh! It has to just be someone auto-tuning, like.
So here, you send you send in your theme song. When it gets picked and we put it in front of the podcast, we'll give you full props. we'll give you a call. We'll give you an interview on the air. You can talk a little bit about yourself and about your band if a band puts it together for you. And you'll be our special guest, and you will have a theme song on Podcast Beyond from that point forward.
No, wait, didn't we already have like a band that submitted like not only songs, but were also screaming Beyond out like at their shows? There was like a MySpace thing. Like
Beyond University mutated.
No, not Beyond University, but like there was like somebody who sent in an email who sent in MySpace links, and they not only sent in clips of them at their shows screaming Beyond, but they like worked it into their songs.
Yeah.
There you go.
I remember this. Yeah,
that was Chris Roper's band.
All I remember was a band that sent in a song, and it was a Metal Gear cover. So they did a punk rock cover of the Metal Gear theme, and it was awesome. And I asked them if I could use it, and I never heard back from them.
The bigger question is, where's the
you
musical?
Lost out on that.
Where is the musical?
Yeah, the Beyond musical is kind of tailing off.
Holy crap!
That's my response to that.
Greg?
I sneeze.
My favorite memories? The first Beyond of all time, which was me. Secondly, I think it was the same podcast.
It was you by yourself?
It was just you doing all the voices?
No, the first Beyond. The first time anyone ever said Beyond.
It was like in the first 10 seconds.
Yeah.
It was in the.
It's funny because
show.
there was like a awkward silence, and you're like, that's not a bad.
Yeah, we all just kind of turned and looked at you.
That's in the best of.
I think it's in the first episode as well when we do GDC predictions. Which, by the way, anyone who wants to go back and listen, Dunham is always full of BS during prediction pieces. He's usually got an inside track on what's happening, so he sends out some red herrings and then says real things. You don't know what's what anymore. Anyway, so you toss out all this very specific garbage, and they're like, "What do you think, Greg?" And it's like, I don't know. A couple months of this time, I just go, "I hope that they bring out a new SingStar mascot." And it's a giant microphone. And I just go, that is the worst prediction I've ever heard.
Mikey the microphone.
And then my third one was we've talked about it in depth before on the show, but the Thor Jarl's wife episode.
Oh, God.
Because
severe editing.
The bits were so funny, but also because it was rare in the old days for me to crack up Roper. And then he cracked up a ton during that, and it even got to the point where he said, "No, that's out of control. You can't say that," which I never expected to hear from Chris Roper.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I don't want to do it now, but I still don't think that joke was ever explained.
No, it was. We talked about it one time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also, he's in on it now, and he thought it was funny.
It was one of the big. It was us protecting ourselves by not using it, but he immediately after the episode went up, it's like, say whatever you want, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But on that, thanks everybody who listens. Thanks everybody. I mean, it's amazing that you guys have this kind of support for us.
We need to wrap this thing up before GarageBand blows up and then we lose the whole episode.
Fantastic.
But again, thank you for listening to the show. We will see you next week with 101.
You guys rock.
Yeah, kicking on Route 101.
That's right, Route 101 indeed, Roper. Roper, Dunham, Jeff, you all are about to shut up and not talk anymore. This is now the Ryan and Greg show. As everyone knows, in episode 1, I introduced a segment where I sang at the end of every episode. And even though my voice is failing now, it's been failing since episode 1, people would say. Luckily, Ryan Clements came along somewhere in the Beyond history and picked up the legacy as well, singing. He's a much better real singer than me. I'm more of a comedic alley cat screaming at the moon. Today, we're going to do something we rarely do and combine our singing talents into one epic Podcast Beyond episode 100 song. Ryan, are you ready?
I am ready. How epic would you say this is about to be, Greg?
Well, I don't want to set the standards too high. We should point out we are completely ad-libbing this, and nothing has been planned. So when it gets to the traditional segments of just us, like, don't give me crap. You can hear this voice. This is not a good.
Yeah, Greg's not physically at his best, but mentally and spiritually he is at his best.
I'm always there. Ever since we didn't even talk about that. We got the Podcast Beyond flag from the fencer.
Oh my God, we didn't.
He sent the real one in. I don't know his name. Do you know?
No,
I was actually
Craig.
at Comic-Con.
It's Craig.
All right.
Craig sent in his fencing flag, and it now proudly hangs above our heads, the heads of all the podcast people who are not currently talking right now for some reason.
Roper, take Jeff's foot out of your mouth, you. This guy. When you tell him to be quiet.
Oh.
Dunham's doing Pilates in the corner. Okay.
So we're going to attempt to do this. Are you ready, Greg?
Yeah.
All right, let's try this out.
100 episodes ago, 4 dudes set out on a journey to make a podcast about PlayStation. They were called witches. They were called relics. Now they're called Mother Effing Geniuses. Podcast Beyond in the house, yo. Episode 100. This is Greggy about to lay it down for you. Ryan Clements on the beatbox. You know it. Everybody knows podcasts go on Thursday. Used to be Game Scoop, now it's Podcast Beyond.
Yeah, that's right, it's Podcast Beyond in here. Now we're trading on and off because we like to hear you read us. When you email today, don't let us down or we'll get angry today. Listen up, I am Ryan Clements. I'm the best looking mother effer in this place. Absolutely.
Used to have a nice podcast room. Then Jeff started peeing in the room. Don't know why, don't know how. Jeff Haynes pees his pants every day. Every day, update his stars page. Jeremy Dunham is gone. Podcast Beyond is going strong.
It sure is going strong, and I'm just spitting all over this mic. Cause beatboxing is more difficult than you would initially imagine. And Jeff Haynes, he doesn't really pee his pants, but you gotta understand that I'm gonna wipe the sweat off of my mouth. Listen up, Greg Miller, Chris Roper, Jeremy Dunham, Sam Bishop, Damon Hatfield is not actually here, but I like his name.
Dunham used to be the host. Now he's gone. Used to have a job. Now he plays lawn baseball every day. What's lawn baseball, you might say? It is where you don't play PlayStation. You wear thongs on your feet and on your rear. You play baseball 75 days a year.
That's the end.
Beyond!
Users lose all sense of reality and enter another world. Remember, do not underestimate the power of PlayStation.